What's going on, everybody? Happy Saturday to you all. Thank you for patiently waiting on your 50 cent, patiently waiting. Um, what can we really say, man? This weather is this weather. We've had some nice days in the weekend. Even when it's kind of spotty, it's turned out to be pretty cool. But today is one of them days. We got a storm front. It's like I think they said it's a tropical storm on the East Coast. With some high winds, 30 to 50 miles per hour in different places, and you got like 2 to 4 inches of rain. Yeah, it's a wet one. Anyway, hope everybody's doing okay. Appreciate y'all as always. Thank you for being here. Um, I got the morning cup of Joe or Joanne or whatever you want to say. It is what it is. A little sip. Oh, that's good. Yeah, man, we're right around the corner, guys. We're right there. October 2nd, the opening day of training camp. And then the preseason is like a week later. It's we've been asking for it. It's right around the corner. Finally, we're getting close. I'm happy about it, man, because I've been dying to just get back into real NBA basketball. You know what I mean? Like FIBA was cool, but it's not the same. And then all the teams aren't playing, and that I'm interested to see what these Knicks look like. I'm also interested to see how some of these young rookies around the league look. That's what it's about every year, seeing how some of these young players play. I'm interested to see how Chet Holmgren looks this year, if he can stay healthy. There's a lot of different stories that I'm looking to see how they play out. But definitely an exciting time, and we just got to see what this season turns out to be, because every year we get surprised, man. Every year you think you know what's going to happen, you think you know who the favorites are, an idea of who's going to win the championship, and not for nothing, the past few years has not gone according to plan. It's always been something different. Something else has popped up that we weren't necessarily expecting. Teams had chances that you didn't think were readily available. Milwaukee got kicked out of the first round, or knocked out, should I say. And then that opened up a lot of things for other teams in the East. And, we saw Miami capitalize. But like every year, you just never know exactly what's going to happen. You can think, analyze whatever you want to analyze, look at all types of data. You can prognosticate. Ooh, prognosticate. I never use that word. And all this stuff. And guess what? In the end, it just, you never know what's going to happen. Every year, the Knicks are the underdog. And with the exception of 2 years ago, they have overachieved and proved a lot of doubters wrong. That the team is not necessarily an elite team, A1 talent, or necessarily a championship contender, but they have done enough to show that they are one of the better teams in the league. So, but once again, we go into this year with a bunch of teams that have added pieces to the puzzle and have gotten better. So it's going to be another year where the Knicks have to show improve, and that's what brings us to today's show, like with the roster construction, how it's been put together. Have the Knicks done enough, right? You know, um, there's some deficiencies and stuff that they still have on the team that they haven't really addressed. The Knicks are still a poor shooting team from the perimeter. Overall, I mean, even the guys who've had good years uh, didn't shoot that well from three. Jalen Brunson was an anomaly because he did shoot well from three, but historically he's not. He can shoot high numbers from different spots on the floor, but he's been shooting a lot better overall from all angles on the floor. So it's kind of not something we counted on, but it's been a great thing to watch. But then you got other guys like Julius Randle, for example, took tons of threes. I think over 200 threes or high. Yeah, I think, yeah, something around there. And he really only shot like 33% from three, which is not a good number. But that's the game today. And that's what guys are doing. That's how it's all shaping out. And so I think it's just interesting to see what they're going to do, the acquisitions and the moves that they've made, how that's going to impact the overall style of play on the court. Will Thibodeau, you know, take some liberties and make some changes and open things up a little bit, because the one thing about Tom Thibodeau, people complain about his vanilla offense. He actually does have some stuff that he does that is really good, but he keeps it a certain way, not just because he likes to keep a vanilla offense, but it kind of ties into what he likes to do on defense, having guys in position and all this stuff. It's the Thibodeau way. Look, if we spend too much time trying to understand it, you're just going to lose your hair. And I don't have a lot of hair to lose, so it is what it is, guys. But let me shout out the chat. I see you guys are in. Thank you for patiently waiting. Just kind of wanted to get some stuff in order. Shout out to Dwayne Dennis. Appreciate you. What's good, my brother? Always a pleasure. Oh, man. I think you had also shouted out Walter Blackman in it, but I don't see Walter Blackman's comment. I don't know unless it dropped off. But shout out to Walter anyway. What's good, Walter, as always. Let's see what you got here. You said, I think the Knicks should hire the Antetokounmpo brothers or a brother to the front office in some capacity. Keep them on the payroll like they did Rick Brunson to expedite the process of obtaining him. It would definitely be a Knick move. That's definitely something that falls right in our alley. Pudge is keeping me on my square. Thank you, Pudge. Appreciate you, brother. Sherwin says, still Knicks fans, good afternoon. How can the Knicks address positions of need to make a deep playoff run? Yes, we can if we can trade one of these. IQ. He is our biggest asset to get our small forward. Interesting. You might be onto something there. You might be onto something there, Sherwin. We'll talk about it as the show goes. You also mentioned RJ, so IQ or RJ. That might have to happen. Dunross Gallman in the building. Salute, my brother. Hope you're doing well. He says, he's talking to Sherwin. Trying to trade RJ or IQ without giving up a lot of picks. Yeah. Louisiana Knicks is in the building. Salute. What's good? Appreciate you, brother. Alex Scalavino in the building. Salute, Alex. Appreciate you. Good to see you again. Thank you for being here and rocking with us in the chat. David L is here. What's good, David? Hey, Stream Elements is in the building, folks. That's right. The show can begin now. Let's go. What's up, Stream Elements? Let me see here. My guy Jay Boogie in the building. He said, shout out to the chat. Blessings and health and happiness on this Saturday. Cartoon day for the kids. And wow, Oregon giving Colorado 21 points. Salute, salute, salute with the 3 capital S's. Let's go. Damn. Really? Listen, let me tell you something. Well, I don't want to get too crazy in it. Look, the Colorado story to me is fantastic. I love what Dion is doing. I think it's actually I was on the fence about it, right? I didn't like the whole thing about a lot of people coming out of the woodwork and all of a sudden supporting Colorado football and all of these celebrities going to the games and kind of like milking the 15 minutes of fame thing. It just I don't like the circus atmosphere. I think it's kind of crazy, right? But in the midst of this circus atmosphere, I'm just seeing a lot of stuff behind the scenes, like the talk and the opinions of people that are so conflicted and upset that this man Dion is doing what he's doing. It's kind of like he's breaking an unwritten rule and bringing a different level of excitement and eyes to a program and the way in which he's doing it. And people have an issue with it, and I don't think that's right. I don't think that's fair. And just because Dion is flashy, he has a certain way of doing things. He's not disrespectful to people. He just tries to inspire and promote a certain level of confidence in his players. He does it in a flashy way, but like I said, he doesn't try to put down anybody else. Now, what happens is when he feels threatened and you go after him, then he will try to, make a mockery of you. But you jumped out there first, so he's just giving you that same energy. So I just look at stuff like that, and some of the stuff, the hate stuff that's been said, and like these podcasts, and there's comments, and there's a different class of people that are commenting and how they feel about it because he is who he is, if you know what I mean. That's wild to me. Like, I thought we got better in America and we still have not improved. And it's crazy. And the other thing, last thing I'm gonna say about this, because get back into the Knicks, is that Dion has always been Dion. So see, that's the thing. A lot of young people today, they don't know Dion like that. And and the older people, sometimes you forget Dion, it was one of the most flashiest, most controversial athletes we've ever had. This dude was always styling sunglasses, gold chains, swagging on people, and killing you on the field too, backing it up with his play, not only on the football field, but on the baseball field. This guy's won championships in both sports. Come on, man. Dion he is who he is. And this dude did Must Be the Money. And that song is awful. But that's how much swag he had. The guy can't rap, went out there, won a championship, went on Saturday Night Live, and was doing the Must Be the Money dance. Must be the money. Okay, that's horrible. It was horrible, but that's Dion. He don't care. Oh, man. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Anyway, let me get through a couple more of these, and then we'll get into the show. We got our guy D's World of Hoops here with us today in the collab. You know, when we go in the collab, it's like going in the lab and it gets real. So, yeah, definitely stay tuned for that. It should be a good show. Travel Vibes is in the building. Salute. Appreciate you, my guy. And I shouldn't assume. You could be a girl. Who knows? Thank you for being here as always. Mega NYK is in the building. What's good, Mega? Appreciate you as always, my brother. And to the other point, Colorado's getting spanked. I will say Colorado's got some really good players, but they're not a great team. Okay, and this is just proof of that. But they're overachieving in some ways, but they're very confident. But the offensive line is a little tough. The defensive line is a little tough. They've got great players at other positions, but the whole team is not that great. So they're working with some stuff. It's not smoke and mirrors, but they've been getting by. Animal Lex is in the building. Salute. What's good? Knicks 100 is here. Salute, my guy. Hope you're doing well. Dion also ran track. Yeah, thank you, Sherman. Well, Dion is a phenomenal athlete. Phenomenal. He even played basketball. Well, but he wasn't good enough to play basketball. I seen him out there. He got a little game, a little swag, but that's the one sport I can't say that he would dominate in. No. Will Salkin is in the building. Salute. What's going on, Will? Thank you for being here. Quiet Money is in the house. Salute, Quiet Money. What's going on, brother? All right. And my guy, JJ, is in the building. What's happening, JJ? Appreciate you, brother, as always. All right. So, let's do this. I'm going to just make this last comment or statement, and then we'll hit the intro, and then my guy D will be up here, and we will get the show cracking. Let me just say this, and hate to take the show on a turn, and he'll probably never see this. So I got a good friend, co-worker of mine that I worked with for about 6 years, I would say. Definitely 5 years, but maybe 6 years. And a couple years ago, right around the pandemic. Unfortunately, he was diagnosed with brain cancer. And so he had to leave the job. But, we still were in communication. They only gave him about 6 months to live. And he was able to fight and do what he could. Um, and, he extended those 6 months to 3 years. So it goes to show you, like, sometimes what doctors forecast is for your health and your livelihood, right? But nevertheless, he fought and did whatever he could to be there. He's got a son who's, I think, 20 years old, which is same age as my son. And it's tough. It's just sad. And unfortunately, a couple weeks ago, I wasn't in communication with him, but a fellow friend was in communication, and he mentioned that the doctors told him that he only had, maybe like 6 weeks. So, um, apparently, last couple days things took a turn, and so now he's in hospice care. And it's tough, man. It's tough. Really good guy, always positive. It's just sad. So, Nate, I know you'll never see this, and but just want to let you know I love you, brother, and you made a lasting impact on my life and my son's life, and I'm wishing you the best in eternal life. So, love you, brother. Anyway, all right. Let me get to the intro. All right. We are here, guys. My guy D's World of Hoops is in the building. Appreciate you as always. Thank you for being here and doing this collab. And come on. Let's go. Let's go. Yes. D, how's everything?
I'm good, bro. Just lock and loaded, ready to go. Wanted to give out prayers and a shout out to you, man, Nate, and hopefully everything takes a turn for the better as well. And shout out to those also that are dealing with health issues and stuff, and we hope that they get better as well. But I'm lock and loaded, ready to go. I think this is a very important topic because one of the things that are very important with teams that their destination is for championship endeavors is that you have to have a very well-rounded roster. You have to have depth in your roster.
Mhm.
If you look at every championship team that has ever been in the history of the NBA, they all have a really nice, balanced, deep roster. And I think an example of that, because it was just a couple months ago, was the Denver Nuggets. Guys like Bruce Brown coming up very big at pivotal moments. Okay, Christian Braun having great quarters or a great half. These role players are very important as to what you're doing because you are going to need them in the playoffs because your best players are going to be focused on. Jalen Brunson is going to be getting doubled. Julius Randle is going to be getting doubled. So you have to look to these guys and make sure that they're ready to deliver and that they're primed and ready in order to be so to do that. So this is a very important topic.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, this is it's one of those things, guys, like and this show, you got to understand the point of these type of shows and the content is to understand that the Knicks are not a horrible product. They've had some success, but they can be better. You know what I mean?
Correct.
You can do more. I feel like Kobe Bryant in the commercial. Yeah, you can do more. There's more that can be done. You can improve. And listen, every year, the other thing that I wanted to say, because I use it to our defense all the time as a Knicks fan, but that's only gonna last so long. Every year is like, okay, this team is getting better. This team is getting better. The Knicks always like down here, and then the Knicks always proving people wrong. But at some point, those young teams are going to get better, and they're going to take that next step. You just don't know exactly when it's going to hit, and when that hits, oh man! So yeah. Yeah. So where do you want to go, D?
Okay, so this is what we'll do, right? So let's start off with season expectations, right? And this is based on, for what I felt, what has been the temperature of the Knicks fan base. So now I notice as the season is starting to come along now, like I hear things changing. I hear the energy a little bit different. But now I will put myself in the position of the Knicks front office, right? And I'm saying that you made it to the second round last year, right? Surprised a lot of people in doing so, right? You have a 3 to 5 year cycle, and you want to capitalize on that, right? And then Julius Randle, to be honest, he's actually in his 4th year of the cycle of this administration. So he's only getting older. So you want to think about these things, right? So these are my season expectations based on that, because you want to improve from one season to the next season, right? 50-game win season should be expected if you're trying to get better last year. If you're thinking that if you thought that they could championship contend last year, right, then why not go ahead and do it again this year, right? So 50-game win season is something that should be expected. And saying where most of the fan base is, right? Jalen Brunson All-Star selection should be another one. I think making the Eastern Conference Finals should be another one. And I think another one that should be put up there, and I keep forgetting to do it, RJ Barrett needs to have an all-star French season. Okay? So, if not, then what did you pay him 24 for? If he's not going to at least be in discussions and topics to threaten that spot at some point in time.
Yep.
These are season expectations, because Jalen Brunson's not going to get younger and stuff of that nature. So that's that. Okay. Now, those are season expectations. It's nice how people were last month. Now all of a sudden things are changing and stuff, but that's kind of interesting. Anywho, right? So let's get on to this, right? Okay. This is my thinking with today, right? You have Evan Fournier that's on the salary, right? And he's due 18 mil this year, right? But most likely you're not going to play him unless a mid-injury, right? Tom doesn't look like he has, no inclination to want to play Evan Fournier, right? So here's the thing. If you wait to trading deadline, which they could, right? Somebody's gonna take that expiring contract. The question is that if we haven't utilized him and we have diminished his value, like we've had with other players like Cam Reddish, Obi Toppin, stuff of that nature, right? Then what do you expect to really get back at trading deadline? Because it won't be anything. It won't be a draft pick. It won't be a young player or a guy that could really fit and come there day one and really contribute, right? So what do you do? So there's options that have to be put into play here as far as what Evan Fournier, and one of them is a possible buyout. Should be discussed. Now, both sides could agree to that, and they could come to a number. You see? So they can. So if he's doing 18, say, I'm just throwing it out there, say they give him like 8 or 10, right? And then that leaves you now with about 10 to 8 million to go ahead and get some pieces that you need. Because, we got some guys, especially in this chat race here, they kind of delusional with a couple of things. So one of them is that we need a small forward. We do not have a true small forward on this roster. We just don't. And we also have the backup power forward issue as well. And I think, me personally, and I think this was proven last year in the playoffs, we have a backup point guard issue. And I've been said throughout the whole year last year, I thought Immanuel Quickley was way more serviceable as a catch and shoot guy.
Mm-hmm.
As a guy
I agree with that.
Back to close out, you go ahead and 2 or 3 dribbles, go ahead and get into his floater, make a decision or shoot. I think he's better suited for that. And I think you'll get better from his game, especially that he's able to run the floor now more because he won't have the ball handling responsibilities. And he did improve on his finishing last year. So I still think that we're in the market for a backup point guard. Now, Dante DiVincenzo is a guy that has done it, but it's not like a full-time backup done it. He does it in spots. I think last year, the totality, I think was 10%. And him at the PE position. So that's not a lot. So you still might want to be in the area for that. So anyway, back to Evan Fournier, right? You could buy him out, right? Or you can waive him. You see? Because whether you buy him out or waive, players still got to be waived, and then it's a 48-hour period from there, right? So if you waive, right, you still got to give him his contract. But like Joakim Noah, right, they broke it down through consecutive years because they waived Noah. And then in 2020, he got paid this much. 2021, he got paid this much. And I think he ended in 2022, and which was the rest of whatever he was due to the contract. I'm not sure if the NBA rules have changed as far as how they do that, but I don't think they have. So that's an option where, like, you could go ahead and still give him the remaining of his contract, but just break it down through years. You could go through a buyout. There's options here, because the reason why I'm exploring these options is because if you wait to trading deadline, what are you going to get back for him if you're not playing him? And for that, just wait for the contract to expire.
Right.
But then that hurts Evan Fournier, because now that's going to be 2 years that he's not playing, right? And also 2 years where you have about a total of about $35 to $36 million just sitting on the bench.
And not to cut you off, but just the thought about it real quick. I don't even know if that's even like legal. And I say that in a weird way. Like I've never thought about it like this, but I'm just thinking outside of the box. Like, would the Players Association get involved? Do they have a leg to stand on for the Knicks to have a guy on the shelf for this amount of time when he's in the last year, especially the last year of his current contract? Like, how is this, depleting this player's value? Mm-hmm. I don't even know if I don't know. I haven't seen it happen because the Knicks don't necessarily do this type of stuff. But I wonder if that would be, cause for them having an issue like with the Players Association or something like that.
They could get involved. They could, because especially Evan's a veteran. He's still serviceable on the championship team to at least be a floor spacing specialist, stuff of that nature. Evan Fournier's camp can make a deal out of it if he's going to ride the bench the whole year again. So there's something to that. And I think that the pickup of Dante DiVincenzo, right, I think that solidified Evan Fournier. Like that was the nail in the coffin. Because if anything, that would have been Evan's spot. But now with Dante, him being a better defender, and he did have a good shooting year last year, it could work like that. So my thinking is that we have holes in the roster, right? You got $18 million that's on the roster that's not going to be utilized. Even if you wait to trading deadline, what are you really getting back? So maybe you might be better off just either waiving and, whatever they decide, whether to waive him or whether to buy him out, in order to go ahead and use. See, I think it would be better to buy him out, because if you waive him, right, then I don't know how much of that would have to be utilized to this season unless they're able to work it out. So it depends on what they could work out. But we need to do something. Now, people I saw were mentioning about trading IQ or trading RJ. And I'm saying that if you go ahead and do that and you're looking for something of significance back in return, just be prepared to give up some draft picks.
Mm-hmm.
And those draft picks, they starting to look thinner and thinner as the years are going. So, so get ready to give up some draft picks, because if you're looking for an impact player to go ahead and take you to that next level, and IQ and RJ are your trading pieces to be dangled, you got to give up more of all-star significance, especially at that small forward position, knowing damn well there's not too many of them.
Right.
So you're in a tough situation here, and these are things that we talked about moving forward, where guys they kind of like get ejaculated at the moment to certain things and stuff like that. But when you go ahead and put it to a big picture and you actually think about the 3 to 5 year cycle, there are some things that have to be worked out. And one of them, for example, was getting a guy like Evan Fournier. And I know Andy, if he's listening, he must be up in arms right now. But if you don't get a guy that that your coach has had issues with these type of players in the past, and one of them being Kyle Korver, and which he went on the JJ Redick show, and he perfectly said exactly what was his experience and stuff like that with Tibbs and stuff of that nature. Evan is kind of cut from the same cloth as Kyle Korver, where the guys that they in Evan's career now, where they're just force spaces specialists, and you can run pin downs and curls for them and stuff like that, and they can shoot off a catch and shoot off one dribble and stuff like that, and they're not really defensively inclined like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just an example of certain moves where if you let it play out, you'll see like, whoa, okay, that could have been done differently. And then maybe people be, that's hindsight, you forget about it. Nah, it's business. It's how business works. And you could be making business decisions a couple of years prior that could come and bite you in the butt 2 or 3 years later. So you want to be very careful with that. So my thinking is that there are positions that need to be plugged. So why not use Evan as a catalyst, since he's not going to be utilized? And if he's not utilized for 2 years, that's 35, 36 million that's just been on the bench for 2 years. Right? So if you're not going to utilize him, right, at least come to an understanding with his camp, either by buying him out or waiving him, that will work best for both parties, where he could go ahead and compete somewhere and where we could go ahead and plug up some pieces. I think that makes 100% sense. But we'll find out. So we had a couple of players, right? So we'll start off with the most juicy, right? And we'll start off with the small forward, because our only really true small forward on the roster right now is Dylan Windler, and he's on a 2-way. He could be the 16, 17, 18 guy on the bench. I'm not sure if Daquan Jeffries is still here, but Windler has a better chance of playing than Daquan. So especially that Dylan has had some NBA experience. I think he played in 40-something games in his rookie season, then he's been injury prone. But I think small forward is the spot to start off with. So the first one we'll start off juicy. And we'll go with Jonathan Kuminga from Golden State. Mm-hmm. Why do I even bring up Jonathan Kuminga? Because he's been in Golden State for 3 years and has hardly played. And the only time he has played is when like Draymond is out or something like that. Aside from that, he's on role restricted minutes. So why not take a shot? 20-year-old guy, 6'8", 7+ wingspan at only $6 million, that's due his rookie contract. And see what he does behind RJ Barrett.
Makes sense to me. I love Jonathan Kuminga. thought he was, when we were doing that what was supposed to be a stacked draft class and looking at the Jalen Greens and all these different guys. Kuminga is one of those guys that definitely stood out to me because of his overall athleticism and talent. I just think he's someone that could really make an impact if given the time, the opportunity, and is used properly. I think he definitely can make an impact. So I definitely like that. And that's like a low risk, high reward type of move.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah, definitely.
Right.
And you got nothing to lose with that one. You get a lottery pick. Has had an underwhelming experience so far at Golden State. I think Golden State is going to look to win the chip again this year. It's not going to be so many minutes for him. So why not go ahead and take the chance? And shout out to Jay Ellis for the Nick of the Time show. He says, Evan contract is a trade chip. Wouldn't it be wise to waive him at this point? I hope you're right. I think if it was, we would have seen something executed during the summer. Unless something happens during the season where, and that's possible. And it usually, maybe when whatever team takes them, they'll just buy him out. And so it's to get him, or they'll waive him and then go ahead and just have the contract in there. It could be done like that. It is a possibility. So won't be able to rule that out. But my thing is that you would still have to wait to after December 16th or trading deadline to do so.
Right.
So it's an interesting thing. Interesting, and I'm just I can see Evan just purely being used to absorb a contract, him be waived, and then him going to a contender. I think that's possible. That's what happened to him, if I'm not mistaken, in Orlando, and that's how he ended up in Boston for that little stint. So it's possible. You're right, and it's a possibility. But once again, I asked the question, what are all these big trade chips that we have besides Brunson and Randall that are going to get that type of player here? Because you're going to have to do more than Evan 4 years contract. You're going to have to give up draft picks to do that. And it will be wise for this team to play a win now mentality, especially that they're not going to draft and scout and develop and stuff like that. So
right.
Why not do it now? You're in 3 to 5 year cycle. Randall's in his 4th. Brunson's going to be in his 2nd. RJ's different because he's only 22, but he could have another 3 to 5 year cycle after this year, type of thing. So, but these are the things you want to think about, right? Okay, Kuminga. Second one, Zaire Williams from the Grizzlies, 22 years old, 6'8", 6'10" wingspan, $4.8 million. They drafted Jake Laveria. David Roddy got a lot of good minutes with them last year. They got that other kid. We saw him in the FIBA games. I can't remember his name right now, but he was their first round pick last year, and he played significant minutes with them. I asked what happens to Zaire Williams. If he's just going to be there window shopping or just spectating from the bench, why not me try to do something in order to get him and plug in that small forward position? 22 years old, 6'8", 6'10", wingspan, only $4.8 million. So you see what I'm doing, Ron? I'm going very cheap here, because if something does happen with Evan, then I'm able to go ahead and pull off these type of moves, and I won't go over the salary cap.
Right.
Because just in case you guys didn't know, we are already on the first tier of the luxury tax because of Dante DiVincenzo's mid-level exception. So just to let you guys know, whenever a team is around that area, they are competing for a championship. Sorry, that right now. So that's that. Next, small forward. Thought of Najee Marshall from the Pelicans. 6'7", 7'1" wingspan. You want to know how much, Ron? You ready? 1.9 mil. And can give you 15, 20 minutes a night at that backup small forward. Play defense. He does a little bit of everything. 1.9 mil, you don't lose out of that.
See,
Okay.
and to the point that D is bringing up a lot of these different players that have good value that you can use, like, and also salary wise, the money is right. You know what I mean? But it's just the Knicks have to figure out a way to open up some of that money, and that's why Fournier's name has been brought up, because that is a way to get some money to do certain things. But this goes back to the whole thing. Like, as fans, we look at the Lakers, for example. Like, how do the Lakers continue to do this stuff? And look at how they're bringing in guys. Look at what they're accepting to play with the Lakers. Now, I get it. It's LeBron. It's Anthony Davis. They have a chance to win a chip, all that good stuff. But the Knicks are still an attractive destination. And some of these young guys, look for a different opportunity. And a consolation prize is not no slouch to be in New York, Madison Square Garden, in this area. So I think this is something that the Knicks really should consider doing, and really should focus on trying to improve this roster as much as they can. We always talk about overall talent on this team. Part of that is having the good, the right puzzle pieces, right, to fit and to give you some versatility. Sometimes you can't always get the star player, but you can get a better combination of overall talent on your team. You know what I mean? This is what I'm talking about. Continue, D. I'm sorry.
No. Go. You can keep on going. I got more names, so if you want to air it out, go ahead. There's no problem.
Well, yeah, no. You know what? Let me do this real quick, just so.
Of course, get to the chat stuff.
Shout out to the chat once again. Shout out to I see a couple people. AJ Bula in the building. Cam from the Kickback. Salute to you. CC, my guy Cartagena in the building. Salute. Building Blocks. I think I said what's up to you already, but if I didn't, what's up, Building Blocks? My guy Keyshawn is in the building. Salute. If there's anybody in the chat that I might have missed, understand it's not for lack of trying. I just didn't see you. Obviously, what's up to my guy Jay Ellis from the Nick of Time show? Appreciate you, my brother. And great job on Nick Tac-Toe. If you guys haven't checked out the Nick Tac-Toe game show, it is a collaboration between the Nick of Time show, Mr. Jay Ellis, and the ladies from Omni Knicks. And I think it's really dope. I've on the most recent show that aired this past Thursday. So by all means, check out Nick Tac-Toe. It was a fun experience for me. And let me give a shout out to my guy, Blue Hefner, in the building. Salute to you, Blue. Appreciate you. And let me read this quick super chat from my guy, Parrish Duggar. What's good, Parrish? Hope you're doing well, brother.
Good, Parrish.
He said the Knicks are pivoting and it's being ignored, Ron.
Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I would love to know exactly, a little bit more how you feel about that and why you say that. It's a little weird because I don't know what they're doing, but I kind of think that all signs point to them starting to go all in. They're not there yet, right? Now, for some people, making the big trade is what, okay, now the Knicks are all in. But this is the other things you already know, as D pointed to, like we're in that first tier. When you start to spend that type of money and start getting penalized and getting the taxes coming in, you going for something because you don't want to pay extra money for the same results. So just, you got to look at things like that. And obviously, we already talked about before, as much as, some people may want to ignore it, I think the Knicks window is really 2 years. And it might be less than that because Julius Randle can opt out next year. Jalen Brunson has this player option. He can opt out and then he can get his money. So listen, when you it's almost like you want to do stuff before you have to pay extra dough and pay extra dough to guys that you don't know if are these the answers. You know what I mean? You gotta. Yeah. So this year is very important. I'm not saying the Knicks can win it all this year. I'm just saying it's very important. Like the Knicks would have to show that they can take that next step, like Eastern Conference Finals or bust. So.
Wait, that's very interesting. Stop. So you mean at this season and next season, or you mean after this season, 2 years after that?
No, I mean after next season. Yeah, after next season.
Okay.
They can. Yeah. So Yeah, I mean, really, I'm saying this season is very important because if the Knicks don't make strides to make a better push playoff run this year, then next year you can't anticipate that they're going to have an incredible season unless they make a big move. So they put themselves even under even more pressure. So, like, say for example, the Knicks make it to the Eastern Conference Finals this year. That's a step in the right direction. It shows progression. It also shows that they're on a path that maybe the following season they can get to the championship round, right? It also shows the rest of the league in the NBA and other guys that might be on the fence about what the Knicks are doing here. Oh, listen, every year they're improving and they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. They might be ready to win it all next year. Let's check them out. If I'm interested in coming to the Knicks, listen, talk to my agent. I might want to get a trade, get up out of here. Put the bug out there to the Knicks. Maybe they can acquire my services. This is how those conversations start to happen. But if the Knicks don't do anything this year, they put themselves behind, and then they're in a panic year. Then the following year is like, oh, if we don't do it now we're stuck because now we got to pay guys, and we don't even know if we got the right product out here. So that's when it gets a little hairy.
No, I'm with you. And that's why I thought it was important this offseason that they kind of adjust and make a move to that because, when a champ, say, I'm just throwing a scenario, like if a championship piece was to arrive, right, that still takes a year. And then you'll have the pressure the next year to go ahead and win it all or at least take the ease. So, So that's why I thought it was important this year, and especially with the ascension of Brunson and stuff like that. And you hot right now, you know what I'm saying? So why not go ahead and strike if they do go backwards next year or this season? If they do, you got to build all that up again now.
And they've already, at that point, given up, some of their war chest, the assets, and it's not and those draft picks, like you've already pointed out, are not as lucrative as they once were. It makes it a lot tougher. And I don't think this is the case, but I will say he might be putting stuff out there to kind of let you know where he's at with it, Pudge. So yeah, I don't know if that's the case, but he's definitely, I think he is not having a change of heart, but I think he's feeling it out. I think him putting that out there is kind of, I'm not saying I want to sell, but it's not easy owning a team. I don't love it. So yeah, if you come at me with a offer, I mean, I'm listening, but I'm not putting it out there. That's Dolan. That's slick talk right there by Dolan.
It's been I don't think it'll happen for a very long time too.
It has been a long time,
25 years even, almost.
Yeah, who knows, man? Who knows?
I'm not buying that whole door.
I don't. I'm not either. I'm not either.
No, I'm not.
But I do think, like, I think as with anything, you know what I mean. It's like a free agent. Guys like Carmelo Anthony or DeMar DeRozan, who never had a chance to really explore free agency, want to test the market and be wooed and all that. I think Dolan likes to be, okay, yeah, hit me with some stuff. Just let me know what you think of the team and how much money you throw my way. I don't think he's going to do anything, but it's always nice to hear and field offers.
Yeah, of course, and because if you get something ridiculously lucrative, of course you're going to take it. But I don't know.
Yeah, I can't see it either.
Yeah, but Nev said something very interesting. Nev, shout out to you, Nev. I haven't seen you in a while. I hope everything's well. He goes, nobody's going to trade for Fournier because they all know that the Knicks need to get rid of him. He has absolutely no value. And that's why I'm trying to get at that. Even if he is thrown into a thing for, say, a potential star player, and that's just for for salary purposes, to match and stuff like that, you still got to give up the draft picks.
Right.
So if ever could be used for that, I guess that is useful. But we're not promised that. You guys, and I say this over and over again, y'all act like stars just get shipped back and forth like that from a year-to-year basis. It don't work that way. You know how hard it is to obtain a star? There's teams that literally tank for 2 or 3, 4 years in search of that. And then when they have it, they're not letting it go. And then if they are letting it go, they're going to ask for everything, half your roster, all your draft picks, your mom, your cousin, your brother, your grandfather, and your grandma.
100%.
So I don't think people really understand those type of things. But okay, so we want to continue with the names. Ready to go?
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Shoot. I just had something I was gonna say and I lost it just that quick. Damn it. But anyway, let me read this the super chat real quick and then we can continue.
Of course.
Shout out to my guy, Nice. Thank you,
Nice.
my brother. Always good to see you. Thank you for the generous super chat. He says, now that I sit with the minority, but IQ is a player that we have not seen nothing yet. He lives to do his best and continues to get better and almost getting 6th man of the year. And best of all, he stands at the number 1 best next to Brunson. So you think we, as a fan base, possibly are undervaluing Quickley for what he can do and the benefits of having him on this roster, and some, not to I'm trying to paraphrase, but yeah. So I understand where you're going, and here's something that I think I've said before, but I don't know if people get it or really catch what I've been saying. The best shooting guard on this Knicks team, to me, is Immanuel Quickley. I think Immanuel Quickley should be the starting shooting guard for our New York Knicks. But the problem is we don't have enough overall bench depth scoring-wise and good shooting that the Knicks can risk putting Quickley in the starting lineup and dropping someone like Grimes to the backup 2 and comfortably feeling like that backup unit is going to be effective in scoring points and moving the ball and creating opportunities. To me, that's the biggest issue. I think if the Knicks did a better job of filling out the roster and having these type of players that are good ball handlers and they don't have to be the greatest facilitators, but they can be good playmakers and move the ball. And then our overall shooting talent was a little better. That guys can get that shot up and it's efficient. I think the Knicks could make that change and put Quickley as the 2 guard. And believe me, our starting unit, I think, would be so much better for it. Because you got the ball movement, you got guys who can, get knocked down to open shots. Quickley will get what he finally wants, and I think he'll be better for it. I think he'll give his all because that's what he's always wanted to do. We just can't get there because we can't risk it. You put Quickley in the starting lineup right now, I don't know what that backup unit is going to look like. Now, maybe Dante DiVincenzo is a lot more than we even planned for. Maybe he can take the second unit to the next level and give them at least the ball movement and the facilitation so that it can be in right spots to get good shots up. Don't know. But I'm just saying, I just think the Knicks haven't been able to afford that chance as of yet.
Also, too, we don't know because we know Tom. We don't know if he might put Dante in the starting lineup at some point in time.
Yeah.
And also, too, with IQ, this is a very important year for IQ. And the reason why, this for you regular season heads out there, the reason why is because playoff career numbers, 7.8 points, 1.5 rebounds, 1 assist in 13 career playoff games, shooting 33% for the field and shooting 27% from 3.
Right. Very true.
So that's why I die laughing when he's asking for 100 mil, because you ain't getting 100 mil coming in the playoffs doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why, I don't see him as such an attractive trade piece like that. Because if I'm sitting here and I'm just a guy that's looking at that, imagine what NBA execs are thinking. Imagine what rival general offices are thinking. They got to be thinking the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that if I do plug him in, it would be in a reserve role, unless somebody has got a hard on for him and they feel like, wow, I feel like you could take us to the next level and stuff like that. I don't know about that. And I think the Knicks kind of feel a certain way too, because I understand why they didn't do it, because they would be over the salary cap if they did sign him this year. Very important year for IQ. And really see what it's about. Regular season is regular season. We're interested in playoffs. Well, at least I am. I'm interested in playoffs. So there's that.
Just wanted to say, Jay Ellis, I see what you're saying. You said, I think IQ might be the best shooting guard, but I also think Grimes is better equipped to defend next to Brunson because he's a little taller than Quickley. We wouldn't be able to put Quick on Butler full time, for example, and that's a fair point. But my whole thing with Quickley and right now, listen, and Quickley's current capacity, the way he's being used, it's Grimes is the better fit. I'm just saying that if Quickley was told, listen, I appreciate what you've been doing for us. I know how we've been using you. I no longer want you to be that role. I don't want you to think about being a backup point guard. I want you to be a shooting guard. Act like a shooting guard. I want you to be explosive. I want you to go get it. This is like it's more than just putting him as the starting shooting guard. I'm saying I want him to act differently. I want you to be aggressive, going for your shot. Now, not taking bad shots and throwing it up. I want you to just to go out there and say, listen, I'm a scorer. And so my role is to score, and I need to get buckets. So I can't be taking these wild, 3/4 of the court shots and all this stuff. I got to get to the rim, or I got to shoot a good 3-point shot so I can put points up. I want Quickley to think like that. I want him to be that guy that runs around and saying, oh, I'm the microwave right now. We haven't seen it. I'm just saying I think that's what Quickley should be on this Knicks team.
And he's looked fantastic when he is.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to agree with Jay here. I think Grimes is a much better option there with his physicality, his defensive mechanics. But of course, Quickley could be a better, microwavable option, a little bit more to his game than Grimes at the moment. But we haven't seen Grimes yet, and we got season training camp opening September 3rd, no, October 3rd, October 3rd. Sorry. So very interested to see how that works because there's going to be a tight race there going on. So very interested, especially I think Tom is going to go back to his 9-man rotation. I think in the first 10, 15 games, he may extend it a bit, may see a little bit of of Deuce McBride and stuff like that. But amid injury, I think he goes back to his 9-man.
Right. And last thing I was going to say, guys, before I want to get back into D's got a lot of names to throw out there that we can consider is Pudge said you need glue guys starting, not Chucks. I agree. But do we not think that maybe Quickley can make an adjustment to his game? Like, it's not that hard to say, I'm not going to take this shot from, half court or wherever the hell, the logo. I'm not going to do that. You know what I mean? You can make those type of changes. If anything, I feel like Quickley doesn't take enough shots. He takes the wrong shots. I'm just saying, as for a guy who's supposed to be a scorer and has good, percentages shooting when he's on, I think he should be used more as a guy who can light it up. He just doesn't, because he has poor shot selection, and I wouldn't continue to give him the ball either. But if he can change some of that mindset, and that's why I want to see what all this offseason stuff pans out to be. You working with Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf. Like, what does this mean? Like, how is this going to affect your game? And Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, I think at some point, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't he, what do you call that, 50, 40, 90 guy?
Sure was.
Yes, he was. So if he's working with him and he's adopting that mentality and he can start thinking like that, you got to use that as a weapon. But he has to prove it first. And you're right. His playoff performances have not shown that he's that guy. So we'll see. Yeah. All right.
And another thing too, like when you work out with some of these guys, like say a Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf and stuff like that. See, sometimes what guys will do is that they'll do it for like 1 or 2 days, 3 days, something like that. Mm-hmm. The ones you want to keep an eye on are the ones that are developing with them throughout the course of a summer or an off season or something of that nature. I could just get him some advice, some shooting tips. Okay, all right, cool. I got that. He writes it down. He goes ahead and puts into his program whenever he works with his team. It could be something like that as well. Okay, other players. So now I'm going to go to like small forward, backup power forward as well, because those are places that we do have to look. I'm looking at Keita Bates-Diop. He's with the Phoenix Suns right now. Now, he just signed a contract there, right? But he is eligible to be traded after December 15th or 16th. Yeah. Oh, okay. Wow, you going to do something?
Yeah, I'll be right back.
Oh, okay. No, okay. That's it. So you have Keita Bates-Diop, 6'9", 7'3" wingspan. Okay. This year, only at $2.3 million. Okay, so now, like I said, he's not eligible to be traded to December 15th or 16th, but he is on a Phoenix roster at a position that he is not going to see a lot of minutes from that. With the Spurs last year, Diop shot 40% from three last year on 133 attempts. He, like I said, he's 6'9" with a 7'3" wingspan. He has good defensive mechanic, good defensive IQ, can stretch the floor, just a good ball player at a very cheap price at $2.3 million. So that's more of after December 15, 16, especially it gives us time to go ahead and kind of assess the first quarter of the season. It should be like around like 25, 30 games by then. So you figure like, you know, going towards the second half of the season, we get a good idea where the team's at and stuff like that. Maybe that's an attractive piece that we could look at. I would keep that name in mind. You won't see him get a lot of minutes in Phoenix. Another guy, and he falls under the same bracket, can't be looked at into the December 15th to 16th. O'Shea Brissett, okay, 6'8", 7-foot wingspan, 2.5 mil. Okay, good defender and 3-point capable. His averages would not suggest that, but he's had good shooting months. That's a guy that could put a small forward, backup small forward, or the backup power forward. And the best part about it, as I said, he is only 2.5 mil. O'Shea Brissett. Okay, somebody where it slipped me right now where he's at, and I can find that out in 2 seconds. But he's a guy where, you know, he's not going to be getting a lot of playing time where he's at. And if we're in desperate need, yeah, Boston, yeah, they're totally filled at that position. So that's a guy where we may want to look at, very cheap, and go ahead and give us some quality minutes and stuff like that, decent defender, stuff like that. Okay, next. We're going to be looking at the Orlando Magic power forward / shutter. He kind of played both. Chuma Okeke, or Okeke, sorry. 6'8", 7-foot wingspan. Shot 41% from the corner three last year. Decent defender, 3.4 mil. Seeing the ascension of Paolo Banchero, okay, I think, you know, I think Orlando's going to have a better season than they had last season. So they're going to be looking to make the playoffs, or at least to play in. Might not see too much of Chuma Okeke, okay, only for 3.4 mil. You can't lose out of that for getting a backup. That's pretty decent. He's done some pretty good work in the NBA in his limited minutes. Okay, so for my last small forward today, okay, and so remember that was a backup power forward, small forward thing. But for my last one, I'm going to be looking at Dalen Terry from Chicago. He's 6'8" with a 7'1" wingspan. He's only 3.5 million, right? And it's a potential thing with him. And you really don't lose out of that. I think Chicago is going to look to try to make the playoffs this year. He's not going to be getting a lot of minutes. He only played 142 minutes last season. So he's going to be available. And depending where Chicago might go, and I think they're going to continue to try to compete for the next year or two, I try to snatch that. I try to look at that and see what I could do with that. Dalen Terry would fit very nicely on this roster. Okay, you know what I'm saying? You know, good defender, good IQ, can distribute the basketball, can pick his spots where to score, excellent in transition. You know, he's a guy that you would like as a backup, especially, and it'll be very cheap. But you know, it's a low risk, high reward type of thing. Okay, so while we wait for Ron, because I'm pretty sure he probably wanted to say a lot of things like that. Let's get to point guards. I think we need a backup point guard, personally. I personally think we need a backup point guard. I don't think we have a backup point guard. I think there are guys that could do it in spots, but not like, you know, full-time backup point guard, right? So, Ron, you going back in? Okay. Anything you want to say about those other guys I named?
So I heard you mention Okeke. I think he would be an interesting piece. I like his game, and I think you know, it's affordable. It makes a lot of sense. We're missing at that position, so I think. And who was the person you mentioned right before Okeke?
Yeah, sure. O'Shea Brissett.
O'Shea Brissett. I've always liked O'Shea Brissett too. I think he also is in that same realm, gives us something that we haven't had. I think he's a smart, like a heady basketball player. I'm not saying high IQ, but he kind of knows what he's doing out there. You don't have to necessarily wonder if he's in the wrong spot. There as a just pointing out somebody on our team, not to get on him again, but like Jericho Sims, for example, has upset Tom Thibodeau in the past because he doesn't necessarily know where to be sometimes on the court. Brissett is one of those guys. I think he gets it. He knows what his role needs to be. Now you can't expect too much from him, but what he does, I think for exactly, he fits the role that you would expect of him. Now, the guy you mentioned last is the guy I really like. I've always liked him since we did our draft stuff. Dalen Terry has been one of those guys that I think the Knicks could bring him in. I listen, sorry guys, bye Deuce. I'm like, bring Dalen Terry in immediately. I take that guy in a heartbeat because he can give you something that you haven't had in quite some time. I think for the Knicks, and mind you, he hasn't had a lot of time to really show what he can do with Chicago. And so some people might look at him and say, well, that's the reason because he's a bum or he's not. No, that's not the case. Sometimes guys just don't get the opportunity to shot. One of the things with Chicago is they have a really good starting unit out there. And the bench unit, that the coach over there believes in certain guys, right? I'm not saying he's Thibodeau, but he kind of has that thing where he rocks with certain guys, and he hasn't shown me that he's willing to take certain chances with some of the young assets that he has on the team. Because if not for nothing, but the Bulls have underachieved, and they got a lot of pressure on them. And without having Lonzo Ball, that team has not looked the same. And so therefore, you can't take certain liberties and say, well, I'm gonna give this kid a shot, because he has to learn, you know what I mean? And you're giving him an opportunity when there's too much pressure and too much hype surrounding that team. So he's been in a tough spot, tough situation, but he's the type of guy. He's like Building Block said it. He's got great size, and he plays defense, and offensively, he's got good court vision. He can do some things out there, and so Dalen Terry would be great. I love the fact that you brought him up.
Yeah. And I feel like he fits in that Zaire Williams, Jonathan Kuminga type of stratosphere where it's like, or type of tier where it's like, low risk, high reward. They're not playing there. So might as well go ahead, give them some spot minutes here and see how it looks.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think you really have to give up a lot to do it because they're not getting any playing time.
Yeah.
So I know those are stuff that I would look for. Okay. Anything else before I move to point guard, sir? You want to go to chat or you want to?
Yeah. Let me just say what's up to a couple people in the chat real quick, and also there's a super chat I want to read. So shout out to Bricks Nation. Appreciate you, Bricks. Always good to see you. Hope you're doing well. I might have missed you guys earlier, so I want to make sure. Shout out to Keith Turner. I don't know if I said what's up to you, Keith. Good to see you, my brother. Shout out to Kareem Grant. What up, twin? What's good? Hope you're doing well. Let me see here. Let's see the super chat. I think that maybe I already shouted out everybody else. Could be. I'm trying to do my best here, guys. Quality Jump is in the building. What's good, Quality Jumper? Good to see you, bro. Nick Jr. 79 is here. Salute, my brother. Oh, listen, now the show is really going. Dripmore is in the building, folks. That's right. The preferred barber of still Knicks fans and the Knicks community is here. Let's go. All right. Good to see you, my brother. Interesting. Sherwin had a thought. He says, I would give Josh Primo a chance, not Dalen Terry. Well, listen, there's nothing wrong with Dalen Terry getting a shot, but Josh Primo is another guy you might want to give a shot to too. The thing about Josh Primo, and I'll let D give his take on that as well, man. Josh Primo he's in a weird situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know the whole story, but the way that whole thing was handled with San Antonio and the therapist and confidential information and the therapist reporting back to the front office about certain things, and then getting some of that stuff incorrect, and then them judging him off of it and putting him in this weird. I don't know what's going on. The Josh Primo thing is weird as hell to me. I don't know if what was said was true. They're saying it wasn't true, and the therapist overstepped. But it created a whole thing, and we saw what happened with Josh Primo. And then mentally, if he is needing a therapist and going through certain things, like you're crippling this player with all this stuff. Like, he's going to a therapist for a reason, and then adding all this stuff, and then embellishing and putting out some type of information out there to make the team look at him a certain way, and it's horrible. So I don't know too much about Josh Primo and where he's at mentally and all that stuff, and if he's even ready to be on an NBA team, but maybe he is, but that's a tough one. I don't know. What's your thoughts on that one, D?
Well, I mean, I put myself in an organizational shoes and the coaching shoes, and I'm like, okay, he has promise. It would be low risk, high reward. The only issue is that I have to worry that every time he goes out, or they're at an event, I don't know who he might be flashing from one day to the next. It could be a trigger where from his childhood. You see how I got to go into this now? It might be a trigger in his childhood of a trigger that may happen on a road trip in the middle of Utah or something like that. And you just start flashing away. That's my only issue. If you don't care about that, I think it's a viable option.
Right. Well, I mean, as an organization, I think I care about that, but I just don't like. My whole thing is that as soon as that happened, that's what we heard, right? And then later they said that it wasn't true, that the therapist overstepped and shared certain things that weren't necessary, like she or he, I think it was a she, embellished and said some things, and it was found out not to be true. So I don't know what's real, or I don't know if it's the PR thing, and you got to walk that back. This is not putting this young man in a good light. So who knows? You know what I mean?
I don't think it's a good idea, personally.
Yeah.
But as far as talent wise, I mean, it's definitely a viable option without a doubt.
Right. Agreed.
Parrish gave a great name. Trey Lyles. It's a great backup power forward. Here's the issue: he just signed a contract with Sacramento, and they're ascending. I wouldn't see him going anywhere.
That's true. Shout out to Wiz in the chat. Salute, Wiz. Hope you're doing well, my brother. And speaking of Parrish Duggar, thank you for the generous super chat, Parrish. He said pivoting towards this is replying to his initial super chat. He said the Knicks were pivoting. He's explaining.
Okay, good.
He said pivoting towards a Brunson championship plan. It doesn't include Randall on a max. Brunson needs a top tier guy and his guys with him. It's his show now.
I think there's some truth to that.
I think there might be some truth to that. And it's funny, if you guys remember, see, this is why helps to keep these things in your mind. You remember when D and we were talking on older shows, right when we got Brunson. Right before anything even happened, right? D was saying that this is Brunson's team now. The Knicks are setting this up, and Daddy Brunson is here, and the way things are, people keep thinking this is Julius Randle's team. No, this is Brunson's team. You're gonna have to watch and see. And more and more after watching how the season played out, right? After watching the Paul George podcast with Julius Randle speaking personally about how he views playing with other people and how he likes not being the guy and having somebody else be the guy, and him, playing his role. I mean, come on, man. What more has to be said?
Yeah,
you see it.
That. Yeah, and you just saw it throughout, especially with the clutch numbers. Last 5 minutes of game, he was absolutely stupendous. And those are signs like, yo, bro, like this is your team, bro. Mm-hmm. I can see where Parrish is coming from. My thing with that is that why don't you start implementing that this year? If that's the plan. Because then if we're going with that trade of thought, Parrish, then Knicks are looking to ship Randall. If we're going towards that thinking. And it could be a possibility because if they're a 500 team or somewhere around that and expectations are not going the way that people are putting it out, it's something to look at.
Mm-hmm.
But then you got to understand that when you do that and you bring those guys in, that's going to take a year or two to go ahead and get into mode. That's why it was very important to do it now.
Right.
That's why.
And I mean, and if that's the case, like, you know, why not do it now? And according to Bill Simmons, the Knicks are doing it. Between now and next year, we are going to have Donovan Mitchell, Joel Embiid, or Giannis Antetokounmpo in a Knicks uniform, guys. That's it. It was said. It's got to happen.
You're right.
So just
Richard Jefferson
throwing that out
some to that nature too, right? Where he was like, it was either Embiid or somebody they were getting.
Yeah. All right. Whatever. We'll see. Yeah. Okay.
I would like to see how that trade proposal looks, because that would have to be on the star to say, I want to go there, and you're going to do it right now.
Right. Right. Oh, and let me just say something real quick. Because I think I don't know if it came up on one of the shows or Twitter. I can't remember now, but it was proposed like, look, everybody knows like there's not a lot of untouchables on this Knicks team, but some feel like the only true untouchable is Jalen Brunson at this moment, right? But what was brought up was, if they're telling you that, listen, Giannis Antetokounmpo wants to be a Knick, but Jalen Brunson has to go the opposite way, you not trading Jalen Brunson and the chance to get Giannis? And so
no, because I need Brunson there with Giannis.
So that's my feeling too, D. Right. I'm like, I don't care. I know some people are like, look, if you have a chance to get a generational talent that's still in their prime and you could still get something out of them and might lead you to a championship, and if you build it, they will follow, or build it, they will come, you know, whatever the hell they say.
Yeah.
My whole thing is that may be true. And there's a chance that the Knicks kind of semi-blow it up and trade for Giannis and send all these pieces back. And maybe Giannis coming to New York, people around the league will say, well, listen, I don't care how I feel about New York and Dolan and all of this stuff, but if Giannis Antetokounmpo was there, and I've seen what he can do, and I know he goes, you know, in when it comes to this stuff, I don't mind going to the Knicks. That's fine, but it's an experiment. Now you got to just plug and play and pick different pieces to figure out who might work. And remember, the window is not, you know, huge. You got to figure out what's going to work. And my whole thing is, I've already seen Giannis Antetokounmpo win a championship, fine, but that championship team is long gone. That's not the same team in Milwaukee. They're a good team, but they're not the championship team right now. And so it's not that easy. They've got a serviceable point guard in Drew Holiday who's good on both sides of the ball, and they still haven't been able to win. They've got other players in certain positions that haven't necessarily stepped up since their championship year. They've got a guy in Chris Middleton that's always hurt, and when he's out there, now he doesn't even look as good as the old Chris Middleton. The same, you know what I mean? Yeah. Right. So, and that's a good team. Some might say that's a better team than the Knicks. That's a team that wins more games in the Eastern Conference. They were the first seed overall. And you telling me that you're just going to trade Jalen Brunson, who a lot of us think will help Giannis Antetokounmpo have a good team and be in a championship contention. I get it. You need him to get him here, but if you make that trade, you like, it's all question marks. You don't know what's going to fill out the roster and make it and give you the right pieces to take you over that level. Like it's a tough one.
Yeah.
But, you know,
I'm just saying that unless the Storm wants to come, you're going to have to give up your mom, all your draft picks, half of your roster. That's why I think like it's a little like, what's the word I'm looking for? Fantastical. I don't see that happening for any of those guys unless they're completely, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Like distraught. And they're like, I want to go to New York. Because then you got to think about it from the Bucks and Philadelphia standpoint. Why in that, especially Philly, why the hell would they give the Knicks Embiid when they're in the same division?
That's a fair point. I don't know. And oh, the other thing that I wanted to say, and I'm not saying he's there yet. I think he's still young enough, still in his prime. You don't really have to worry about it anytime soon. But at some point, the athleticism that Giannis has is going to slightly diminish a little bit. At some point, the speed in which he moves up and down the court, little slower, not as effective, not as blow by anybody who's in front of him, right? And once that stuff starts to happen, he can't rely on his jump shot because it's non-existent. So then what type of star game-changing player will Giannis look like? So that's why another thing is, like, when you want to mess around and play these games, like, I got to get that star player. You're going to go after Giannis. You better get him now, like now or next year. Like, because the later he gets in his career, then you guys like, oh, the New York Knicks got Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's 32 years old, but he's Giannis Antetokounmpo. Then he comes here, he's a little slower, a little less athletic, and he can't shoot. And he's getting exposed. People know how to play defense on him. And once again, we get a guy at the wrong time, a star player. And not Anthony McDyess, but, just getting guys at the wrong time.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's the thing. Yeah. And, I see guys in the chat, they're mentioning that there's some names that could be possible. I would just ask, why would you be interested in Donovan Mitchell based on what you saw last year? And that was a big issue with him, where he's not clutch. And that was a big thing in Utah. I mean, they murdered him for this. And he did the same thing in Cleveland. And therefore, why do you think they put all these shooters around him now and stuff like that? Because they needed to space the floor. That's why I think Jared Allen might not be there come next trading deadline. And they might put Evan at the 5. Which I think he's more capable than playing of it, especially in today's NBA. So, they put the Niang, they got Max Strus, they got a whole bunch of shooters now that could go ahead and space the floor. So why would they clog that up with 2 bigs and Evan and what's his name and Jared Allen? So I don't know. We'll see. But
let me ask you this question, D, because you brought up Donovan Mitchell. Do you think that, and I agree with you, like, I wouldn't put all my eggs in the Donovan Mitchell basket either.
No.
My only caveat to it, and the one saving grace that I think to me, is Jalen Brunson. Like, I think having Donovan Mitchell here would greatly improve the Knicks scoring and their ability to put up some numbers on teams and run them up out of here. However, in clutch situations, I don't want Donovan being the guy. Like, I want Jalen being the guy. And to me, that's the difference. If Jalen Brunson is not here on these Knicks, then I am 100% in agreement with you. I just think that Jalen Brunson might be that guy, because a lot of times when you see, I mean, not just that, Donovan has looked the way he looks against other guys too, but a lot of times you see Donovan Mitchell not look too good. He's going up against Jalen Brunson. So if you can't beat him, join him. You know what I mean? Maybe that might be the difference, like, that he needs that. So he doesn't have the pressure on him. Like, I got to be clutch, because he hasn't really shown up in those moments. And maybe that's the difference. The fact that we've got Jalen here.
Yeah. I think it's tough to get these stars. When I was doing the math, I won't give it, because I did a whole science to this. And one of the things that I noticed, that there were years between the draft, right, that the lottery or the first round, because I only did first round, that there were like 2 or 3 years that only 1 or 2 all-stars came about in 3 years. It's not easy. And that's why I felt it was so important to build organically and to build from the ground up and not put guys like Grimes in a box. Okay, you're just a shooter. You know what I'm saying? Or you're just this. IQ, you're gonna be a point guard. No, why not let them flourish? And because it's so hard to get these stars. That's why a lot of these teams, especially now, they caught onto the wave that you got to organically grow at some point until you get those guys. See, that's why with Golden State, for example, you might see like Moody and Kuminga on the market this year, because they're going to championship contend for the next 2 or 3 years. What they have. Because Steph is that good. Clay has gone down a tier, but he's still very effective. Chris Paul is really going to stabilize that offense. That's going to be crazy seeing Steph just go through crazy screens and pin downs and stuff like that. So it's not easy to get these guys. And, you know, I can see where guys want to keep it in house and stuff like that, and I totally understand that 1,000,000%. My age factor is a thing with me with that. But anyway, let's get to point guards, right? I think because don't forget that a scenario was that we got to do something with Evan, right? We can't have 35, 36 million just sitting on the bench for 2 years in a row. Okay. And hopefully, like Jay Ellis said, hopefully he is a part of, you know, something that we don't know that's in the works as for a salary match that could go ahead and get somebody impactful here. And I really hope that's the case. And that would be best case scenario. That would be fantastic. And that would give the front office kudos if they're able to pull that. Because they've done everything in their power, and I'm including Tom Thibodeau in this too, to really destroy the value.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I think that's best case scenario. I'm going to work with what I think I could control. And if he becomes more unhappy than what he already is, and he wants to go ahead and do something in his camp, a buyout or a waive would have to be considered. And it will be good to do it sooner than later, because then you'll have a better option of go ahead and kind of plug it into pieces, because you'll get a gist of what your roster is. So then when December comes, when January comes, when February comes, and that trading deadline comes, you already got an idea of what you need to plug in and stuff like that, because you've gone through 15, 25, 30 games.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, okay, so point guards. I don't believe we have a backup point guard. I think Dante could do it in spots. I think IQ could do it in spots. But I talk about like TJ McConnell is a backup point guard, bro. Like in this league. I don't see IQ or Dante DiVincenzo at that caliber. And I think there's levels to this, especially to the respect of the positions, right? So I thought of, and remember, I'm going cheap, right? I always want to stay cheap. I want to stay cheap and get the most out of that player, raise up their value. And if I keep them, I keep them. And if I don't, I get maximum return back. That's why I like going cheap, right? Mm-hmm. Jose Alvarado is my first choice. He's a New York native. He's only 25 years old. He's on a non-guaranteed contract this year. And he's only at 1.8 mil. He would be splendid. And I know it's the land of the Oompa Loompas with that, but I need a backup point guard. And I think New York would love him. I think he'll be a fan favorite as soon as he gets here. And an impactful one. Not in this, oh, we love him, but, you know, he hasn't played in 10 games. Like, you know, like an impactful fan favorite. I'm looking at Jose Alvarado. And plus, I got a question, too, because the Pelicans, they got to work Kira Lewis. He was a lottery pick for them. And he just came off injury last year. He played a couple games. He looked decent. I imagine that they're going to try to get some minutes for him. They got to look at Dyson Daniels. Dyson Daniels had a nice summer league, bro. He looked good. I see him getting minutes this year. And then they still have the CJ McCollum thing going on there. Where does Jose fit in this? I take advantage of that, especially at 1.8 mil.
Right.
That's nothing. Even if he buries at the bench, it was 1.8 mil. Big name here. And it's a similar situation with Jose, because I figure how much of this could he really get for him? Jalen Suggs from the Orlando Magic. Injury prone, yes. Haven't really got to see what he can do in this NBA, yes. But the reason why I think he's viable is because Markelle Fultz has resurrected his career with the Magic. He flowed very nice with that starting unit. If anybody saw Magic games last year. They just got a draft pick in Anthony Black. That's a 6'7" point guard. He had a decent summer league. He had glimpses where you see he still has to let he's still raw, and you saw glimpses like, whoa, like he could look really good. Mm-hmm. Where does Suggs fit in there? Because Anthony Black is not a shooting guard, ladies and gentlemen, so you can't slide him there. Markelle Fultz is not a shooting guard. You can't slide him there. What happens with Jalen Suggs? He's a guy that he falls under this tier with Kuminga, with Zaire, with Dalen Terry, where it's a low-risk, high-reward type of thing. 7.2 million. I think Tibbs would love him. He is a dog. He is a brick on defense, bro. Okay? And he's got excellent playmaking ability. and he slashes to the rim very well. Shooting has been an issue with him, but he's shown in excuse me, injuries been an issue, but before the injuries have popped up, you see his games where he starts rising up to about 32, 34, 35%, and then he gets injured. And then he comes back and he starts shooting bad again. You see? So I think Suggs is a viable option. And I think that's somebody that I'm keeping an eye on to see how Orlando is going to handle that, because I think they're going to want to play Anthony Black. And I think that they like Fultz being there, being that veteran guy around these young guys and Banchero and Wagner and stuff of that nature. I think they're going to enjoy him being in the starting lineup, but I think they're going to prefer that. Oh, and they also have Cole Anthony, which I completely forgot about. And Cole Anthony played like 15 to 17 minutes a game last year. So I'm looking at Suggs. Rookie contract, 7.2 mil, top 5 draft pick, low risk, high reward. Another name, another draft pick, another lottery pick, Davion Mitchell with Sacramento. I don't know where he fits there. And you saw it at the second half of last season for you guys. I watch all the teams. If you guys watch Sacramento, you saw his minutes just decrease little by little. And then playoff time, he didn't hardly get. He's a guy, I think Tibbs would love him. Stellar defender. A little short. Stellar defender. Can really play make. Can get to his spots. Can manipulate the pick and roll. 5 mil this year. I got my eye there. How are they using him? Are they using him? Right? Especially that they got some new pieces. You got Keegan Murray on another level this year. They might want him to play more with Herter. Right? Fox is going to be playing 35, 36 minutes this year. Might want him playing with Herter, Monk, stuff like that. Where does Davion fit? So I look at that. And I say that's a viable option for 5. And my last one, well, I have another one too, but DeLon Wright, he's a little bit older, and he's the most expensive out of all of them. But man, has he been a steady backup point guard throughout his career, bro. Very good defender. Okay, has shown some years the capability to go ahead and stretch it out, can run your offense and initiate it. I say, why not? And especially we in a now type of thing anyway. I don't know how some people don't think we are, but we are. So that's that. Another guy I thought was Theo Maledine as well. He's with the Hornets right now, 1.8 mil. He ain't gonna get no damn minutes there. If anybody has seen him play with OKC, Atlanta, stuff like that, you know he's very capable of running the backup point guard. Defense is a little bit of an issue with him, but he could initiate it. He could get to his spots. He's a decent shooter. 1.8 mil. You're not killing yourself with that. And for right now, those are my list of guys that I would have available to go ahead and kind of, if they're going to keep it like this as they have the current roster, these are the plugs that I see that could be plugged up in this roster with the attempt of trying to get off Evan. And you know, especially if you can't strike a deal or something like that, you know, eventually getting off of that and looking to plug in at some of these instances, especially with my season expectations for the team based on last season and based on the fan base. 50 games, Eastern Conference Finals. RJ Barrett looking better than he did last season, All-Star fringe. Jalen Brunson, All-Star selection. I think that the key to a championship team or a team that is competing for a championship and contending, you need a roster that's balanced and that has depth. And even if you can't accomplish that year fully, at least start making the steps in order to start gaining that balance. Because right now, it's not balanced. I don't care what anybody tells me. Anybody that has basketball sense, okay, and that has done this to a level, can look at this roster and be like, this is clunky. So, and they were able to get away with it last year, and I give the credit to Tibbs. I thought Tibbs did a fantastic job of pulling a fantastic magic trick on everybody and made it look like they were playing defense, but they really weren't throughout the – I thought he did a fantastic job with that. I'm not sure if they'd be able to do that 2 years in a row. You would have to have sustainability and substance within the roster to go ahead and pan out for the duration of the whole season, not just half the season, not just the first round of the playoffs, throughout the whole season. So that's where I stand with that. Oh, one more thing too. One more thing. Sorry. Kelly Oubre, our small forward that could have been plugged in. Philadelphia picked him up for 1 year, $2 million. And it just happened. Did Kelly Oubre did not want to come, but we're not looking for him? That's something that I think has to be talked about. He would have fit nicely. Guys are talking about Christian Wood, right? Backup power forward, right? 2 year, $5.7 million. This year he's making 2.7. Was assigned to just a couple of weeks ago. So it's not like you bringing in these guys, and these guys are playing like 25, 30 minutes, and you got to worry about attitude issues, what the reputation is of the league and stuff like that. No, they're playing backup minutes at 15, 20 minutes tops. So there's no reason why, especially Kelly Oubre, goes under the radar and gets picked up by Philadelphia for 1 year, $2 million. So yeah. I hope the ears to the ground.
I think you're right, man. That I don't know. I don't know how we kind of put ourselves in a position where we're so cap strapped that we don't have the ability to capitalize on the slow part of the market where things get, you can get some of these players that, have kind of not fell by the wayside, but their options aren't as prevalent as they might have been earlier in the offseason. That's why you can get a guy like Christian Wood on a low end type contract, a guy like Kelly Oubre. These guys were making in between 11 and 14 million last year, and you're getting them for like 2 million. I mean, it's crazy. And just it's a shame that we're just not in a position to get some of this talent, because it is talent, especially at that price. I had a name, but then I realized that he's not exactly what I thought he was. Because in college, he was used as a point guard, but in the NBA, it looks like he's become more of a shooting guard, and we don't need more shooting guards at this point, unless they're like a star type player. I was thinking of Jared Butler, but he's just not what I envision as a backup point guard, and that's what we really do need. If we're thinking about guards, so yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. He was getting a lot of minutes in Utah, and even in the summer league this year, he looked shaky.
Yeah.
And he looked so great in Baylor. Like
really good, man. Right. Really good. And it's a shame because I know he's also had his own, the health issues and stuff like that, and it's just it's tough, man. NBA is just a rough place to be, man. If you're not kicking it off and finding your way early, and then because the whole thing is you really only have that rookie contract, those years, that 3 to 4 year window to be in the NBA. If you haven't solidified yourself or shown that you're a player after those 3 to 4 years, a lot of guys are out of the NBA. They're playing overseas. So it's a tough one. It's a tough one. But I like some of the players that you mentioned, the Alvarados and the Davion Mitchells. Yeah. Davion Mitchell's always a guy that we looked at and said that this guy's going to be a dog. Now, the only thing with him, I would say, is that he has shown to be, well, but then again, he's gotten better. But he's shown some inconsistency in his game because he, in essence, was almost like given the keys. Like, there was a point where they thought about trading Fox, right, and keeping Halliburton and Davion Mitchell to be the guys. And then you wind up noticing they trade Halliburton, and then they're just rolling with Fox. And you think, okay, Davion's the backup guy. They're using him a certain way. He was getting some really big, good minutes. He didn't do a lot with it. And then Fox basically just jumped back into the high graces, and he's never been gone, but I'm just saying, like, they were kind of like on the fence with him, and then they just doubled down and said, we're keeping Fox, he's our guy, and that's it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Tough stuff here. So now with this in talk, right, what do you think, Rod? And I'll answer after you. Like, what do you think the Knicks will look like coming into the season? Let's give it the first 15, 25 games. Do you have a vision, or do you have like some type of insight as to what you think what this team will look like through the first 15-25?
I actually think the Knicks are in a really good position to come out the gate looking like one of the top teams in the NBA. Now, that doesn't mean at the end of the season they'll look like one of the top teams in the NBA. But I think because there's teams that have improved and are getting talent, right? Teams that have new coaches and all this stuff, that stuff has to develop. You need the first month and a half into the season to kind of figure out what your team is, for guys to really adopt what the protocol is, what the vision is. You need guys have time to develop that team chemistry so they can get clicking and understand where they need to be on the court, how guys like the ball, all this stuff. The Knicks, I don't think, have that issue for the most part. We only have Dante DiVincenzo, who has to get acclimated, and I think he'll get acclimated pretty quickly, especially with knowing how to play with Jalen Brunson already. I think he'll fit in nicely, and Josh Hart, should I say. So I think he'll fit in nicely, but I think the core of the Knicks have already all played together, So I think the Knicks might get off to a hot start. Now, now, don't get me wrong, the Knicks have an interesting schedule. They've got some tough teams to play out the gate. But I just think, like, once again, going to the chemistry and how teams take a little while to get going in the beginning of the season before you realize who we really are. I think the Knicks out the gate might have a little bit of an advantage, and this is where they need to capitalize. They need to come out the gate strong, get a nice record. I would expect the Knicks after the first month of the season, and I'm not sipping the Kool-Aid, to be number one, either 1 to 3 in the Eastern Conference. Now, I do think as months go along, that's going to even out and teams will start playing where they need to play. But I think they can get out the gate quickly and make some noise.
So you're saying, in so many words, thanks for the breakdown, you're saying in so many words to get off to a hot start.
Right. Only because of the chemistry and camaraderie of the team that they've already had a chance to gel. And if they don't do that, then I'm going to be terribly disappointed, because then I'm like, you have an advantage. You guys have all played together. You guys went to the playoffs together. And for the most part, it's the same team. There's no reason you should get off to a slow start. I mean, if you practice and take practice seriously, when you start these games, and with a Tom Thibodeau team at that, there's no reason they should get off to a slow start. So if that happens and the Knicks are struggling early, then I'm going to be a little like, whoa, what the hell's going on here? Because you shouldn't have to have that. You got team chemistry. You guys have been playing together.
Yeah.
So.
Oh no, those are good. Those are good. That's a good standpoint there, and I'm agreeing with you that I think they will get off to a good start because of many of those reasons that you just mentioned. My question then becomes: so since we're in agreement with that, right? And I think they will be top 4 in the East in the first 25 games, and I'm with you on that. My question is: do we both agree that Tom's running a 9-man?
Yeah,
even at the start, like after 5-7 games on it.
Well, maybe in the preseason we might see him run 10-man for the first 4 preseason games. Yeah,
right. How nice of him. So let's give Tom some slack. Let's say after 10 or 12 games he locks into his 9, right? Let's say, especially maybe if they start off like 5 and 4 or something like that, right? You never know, right? So what was the 9-man rotation last year?
So it was Brunson, Grimes, RJ, Randall, Mitchell, Robinson. Then you had Quickley, Josh. Are we talking after the trade? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Josh. Yeah. Then we had Quickley, Josh Hart, Hartenstein, and oh shoot, why am I blanking on this guy's name? I see his face. Like, oh god, shoot, why can't I think of his name?
Obi Toppin.
Obi Toppin. Oh, yo, that's bad. I'm sorry, Obi.
God, I guess you don't miss him, huh?
Oh my god, already out of sight, out of mind. I'm sorry.
Wow, that's crazy. Well, don't worry about it. You'll see him soon, because I think we played Indiana early. But okay, good, right? And then Deuce was kind of like that 10th. So you replace Dante with Obi.
I mean, you replace Obi with Dante. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's your 9-man.
That is it. Which is, I mean, it's a team that can make a little bit of noise, but it like the loss of Obi's height doesn't help. Even though sometimes Obi didn't play like his height, so
No, he did not.
no, but that's tough. So
yeah. So the reason why I asked that was because, right, if that's your 9-man, right, and that's what you're going with, you don't feel that there's plugs that need to be plugged in?
Oh, I definitely do. I definitely do.
Yeah.
Now, I will say one thing, D, because I feel like I get on this guy all the time, and I feel bad because, but he puts himself in that position. But there is a way that Tom Thibodeau goes with a solid 10-man rotation.
Okay.
But it means a lot, and this guy has to step up huge. If Jericho Sims can get his stuff together, and that's saying a lot. If he can come into the camp like working on his defense, become like a defender, blocking shots, getting his timing a little better, so he's really actually affecting the opposite team, and just understanding where he needs to be on the court. Offensively, look, his game is what it is. But if he can actually be a defensive presence and continue to rebound, because I think Jericho's actually a pretty good rebounder.
He is.
I think he would force Tibbs' hands, and Tibbs would be comfortable in making it a 10-man rotation if he can step up. But if he can't step up, then it's going to stay 9-man.
Here's my concern with Jericho. He went into a place last year that I've seen other players under Tom Thibodeau's regimes go and never come out.
I agree with that. I told you before, I think he's in the doghouse.
Yeah. And so I don't see, unless a mid-injury, which it's very capable with Mitchell Robinson, I don't think we'll be seeing too much of Jericho.
I agree.
But I think Deuce is a better threat at that 10th than Jericho, because Tibbs likes Deuce. Like he'll utilize it. So that's that. Okay. So now the next question becomes then, right? And I had it in my head. I should have wrote it down. Oh, good. So now that we know that, right? And we are in the land of the Oompa Loompas, right? Which I can't wait to get that skit ready when the season starts.
Oh, don't lose your train of thought. I just want to say this real quick because maybe some people don't remember. Shout out to Julian Blum. Thank you for being here, my brother. Appreciate you. As always. Shout out to Nick Yak. Thank you for being here as well. Let me just see, because there's a super chat here that I don't think we got to. And I want to get to it real quick before the subject.
Parrish had another one.
Yeah. Parrish, thank you for the generous super chat. You said JR knows he's not getting a max C agency stunt. Yeah, okay. Right. You might be right on that. Yeah, and listen, I think the Knicks know we're not getting a discount. So it goes both ways. It is, it is what it is. But to Julian's question, when was he in the doghouse? I think you can notice last year, like, first off, we didn't really know that Sims was as hurt as he was. So he definitely was a lot more hurt than we thought. The shoulder injury was obviously a serious thing. But prior to the shoulder injury, when he was healthy, he was sitting on the bench, right? And I didn't see Thibodeau calling his number. There was no reason for Jericho Sims not to be in the rotation, not to be playing. And then you got guys playing 30+ minutes where you could spell him and bring Jericho in to give that some relief, and Sims was not in there. So there's just no rhyme or reason for that. That shows you if you got a healthy guy on the bench and you're playing these guys X amount of minutes and you could use him to come in there and spell, and you're not doing it and the guy's not hurt, you're in the doghouse. that's my own, and I'm saying this in regards to Tom Thibodeau and how he does things. There was no reason for Jericho not to be playing prior to him getting hurt. So yeah, and throughout the season, you already heard Thibodeau doesn't like certain things that guys were doing, that they're not knowing where to be on the court. Jericho,
and he was lost in rotation a lot.
And he was lost in rotation, and that's just like a no-no in the Tibbs system. At least you got to know where to be and where to go. If you're struggling at certain things, I think Tibbs gives you a little bit of a pass, right? Because you're still young, especially. But he, not knowing where to be, right? And then you don't affect a lot of change on the court. Like you're not an offensive player. That's one. Forget it. Forget offense. But on the defensive end, I've said this before, and I hate kind of belaboring the fact, but you can almost touch the top of the rim, and you don't block shots. You average less than one a game. This doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And then you don't know where to be on the court, and then you're not vocal. You're not calling out. It's a lot. It's a lot. Whatever.
Because of the injury last year to Mitchell Robinson, he actually had a good opportunity. Starting from January 18th, he played a lot of games over 20 minutes to about the 15th of February, I think, which is right. Yeah, it was the game right before the trading deadline. Right? After that trading deadline, no more Jericho. And I remember that game against Atlanta because I remember Tibbs losing his mind. And they won that game by 20, by the way. But I remember him losing his mind of just Jericho just being lost on the defensive end. I wish he had that same energy for RJ and stuff like that, and Julius Randle and Brunson and stuff like that as well. But yeah, I think he's in a house. I think he's in a doghouse he ain't gonna come out of.
Yeah, I agree. And just to your point, Paris, I understand that, and I can give him a pass for not being able to be as physical, like playing hurt and us not knowing. That happened with Hartenstein. Hartenstein had injury. We didn't know about it until it kind of came out later. So I get it. He might have been playing, but it goes back to the point that D mentioned, and I didn't have a chance to really elaborate on, but D mentioned it. Being lost out there on the court, not being where you need to be. I don't care if you can show this hurt. You should know where you got to be in the scheme of the defense or whatever you got going on in the offense. Like you got to know where to run around. Like there's nothing wrong with your legs. You should know where to be. And your IQ should tell you, okay, if this happens, I got to go, I got to cover the back door, or I got to be here. Like
he played 4 years in college.
At a good program.
Yes.
So that's the type of stuff like Tom Thibodeau has no, if you don't look like you know where you need to be out there on the court, he doesn't have any regard for you. Unless you're a star player and he's got to work with you. I told you guys this before, and I'm not like, I don't think I'm wrong. When it comes to star type players, I think Tom Thibodeau knows how to use guys. And if he doesn't know how to use guys, he will figure out how to use you because you're a star player. When it comes to the lower echelon players, if you're not getting it right away and it's taking a little more time, he works with you for a little bit. But if at a certain point you're not getting it, I think Tom Thibodeau moves on and focuses on what he needs to focus on. I got 9 guys over here. I got to work with these 9 guys. This is enough for me. He's already shown you when he was in the doghouse himself, he can get those 9 guys to start playing well, and that's all he needs. So I kind of feel like that's what it is with Tibbs. Like, yeah, another coach might say, okay, Jericho, we need to do a little bit more work, and I'll take the time. Tom Thibodeau don't have time for that, especially when he was in the doghouse. Like, forget about all these guys. All you guys, I can't worry about you. These guys I'm going to worry about, and watch what I do. And he did it, so I'm not going to take anything away from him.
I heard DJ Augustine was a guy that resurrected his career under Tibbs. I want somebody to name me another. Okay. Do you think the Knicks were top 4 in the league last year in rebounding? Do you think that happens this year?
Maybe not top 4, but I think they could still be top 10 in rebounding, maybe top 6, something like that, because the team hasn't changed much. And then the guards that the guy that you did bring in, Dante DiVincenzo, he's an adequate rebounder. Josh Hart is still a fantastic rebounder at his position. Quickley's not a bad rebounder. He cleans up, things that run in his area. I think RJ can probably improve a little bit with his rebounding. I know there's not a lot of rebounds to go around, but RJ can clean up a little better with regards to that. And Julius and Mitchell Robinson are still going to do their thing. Hartenstein's not bad. Jericho, I think, can be so if Jericho plays. Yeah, so I think the Knicks will still stay in that realm because losing Obi doesn't really kill you. He's not like he was bringing a lot of rebounds to the table. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think they can still be in the realm, but I drop them down a little bit just because other teams might have improved, in regards to their own rebounding. So that might drop them down a little bit.
See, my thing is that if I think the starting unit will be fine. Because, with Mitchell on the offensive boards and Randall always being, averaging about 10 rebounds, most of them will come defensively. So I think they'll be okay. As far as the starting lineup, I just get a little concerned with the bench because you are a little small. I don't know if opposing teams may want to punish that. It depends because we don't know if they're going with Roby or not, or or if they're going to just stick with Josh at the 4 or put RJ at the 4. I'm saying RJ can't rebound at the 3. See, Josh is different. We know he can rebound. I think the only issue might be him being too small, but we know he can rebound. And the reason why I brought it up because it's very important to Tom Thibodeau that his teams rebound the basketball. His team is always top 10 in rebounding everywhere he's gone.
They have to.
In every season.
And I just want to say, D, I know you did that on one of your shows. You had brought it up not too long ago, too. And I agree with you 100%. The fact that this team is poor shooting, those second chance opportunities and all the rebounding we get is huge to the Knicks. Without that, if the Knicks go out there and play these teams and they can't rebound the ball, we are in trouble because we don't shoot it well enough. If we shot it, there's not a lot of rebounds to be had, but we don't. So,
yeah, because I don't know. It's just it's something to look out for and see what they do with it. Because if the Josh Hart experiment at the 4 doesn't work, which I think it could have limited success, especially in the regular season. But let's just say it doesn't work, you got to pivot to a 4. And then that's an extra guy you bringing into an already tight 9-man rotation. Oh, it's going to be fun this year because there's a lot of things and questions to see how will they utilize what they did last year? What new wrinkles did they put into the offense or the philosophy? Are they going to use Jalen Brunson a little bit different? Is he going to be so ISO heavy like it was? And it was successful. I just think that the NBA is going to acclimate. And because you saw it in FIBA. What did FIBA do? They put big guards on Jalen. And there were some games that he was ineffective because of it. So I think the NBA might acclimate to that. I don't think you're going to see a lot of small guards on them. I think they might go on Grimes or Quickley or Dante. I think big guards and wings will be on, which is good for RJ because RJ is very successful against smaller players. So if that big forward or that wing defender is forced to take Jalen Brunson, it should be a feast day for RJ Barrett. We're just projecting. I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
I agree with you, brother. I don't know. I don't see it. Shout out to Danny Landis. I see you in the chat, my brother. Appreciate you. Hope you're doing well. I don't know about these Knicks moving guys around and putting them in positions where I don't think they're comfortable. Having to put Josh Hart at the power forward position in a small lineup, yes, it could work, but it has to work against the same type of team that's playing that way. Fine. Okay. But other than that, I'm not a big fan of it. I don't like it at all. I don't care how good of a rebounder is. When it really comes to it, a 6'4" guy going up against a 6'9", 6'10" guy, it's just not a good look. And even with RJ Barrett, I think I've been clamoring forever. And sometimes RJ puts himself in a position where he doesn't look good at any position on the court, right? But I still think he looks better at the shooting guard position. So if I'm telling you, I think he looks better at the shooting guard position where he can kind of dominate and bully his way around the court. To move him to power forward, where I've seen his shot get blocked numerous times by the bigger guys on the court, and you expect this guy to now get rebounds and box out against. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. And his slow footwork and all the slow footwork probably benefits him at the power forward position, but that's about it. He ain't gonna bully his way through power forwards to get to the rim. He's not gonna rebound over a lot of them because he doesn't jump as high, and they're usually taller than him. Even him going up against a 6'9" guy might be a liability. A 6'9" guy with good wingspan, that's tough for RJ to deal with too. I don't like it. I don't know what these Knicks are going to do this year. This is going to be a real guessing game as to see what smoke and mirrors, what magic trick Tom Thibodeau can pull off with the current way the roster is set up. So,
does he have multiple magic tricks? Because he pulled a good one last year.
Yeah, he did. So I don't know.
So, and much kudos to him for that. But
and when you look at that, goes back to the good coaching of Eric Spoelstra in Miami. Yes, people talk about how Miami was better from the perimeter and they kind of lit us up, and the Knicks struggle at defending the perimeter. But that wasn't all Spoelstra did. Like, Spoelstra knew exactly what type of sets and stuff that Tom Thibodeau was running with the Knicks, and they just had a good game plan for how to stop us. And guys didn't step up. That's the other thing. If you can be stopped, but if guys step up, you can counter that. Guys didn't step up. So it also has to go to guys like Grimes and Quickley and obviously Julius. These guys got to step up and figure out ways to help combat what the other teams are doing. Because all that being said, had we got some good contribution offensively from Quickley, a little better contribution offensively from Grimes, and anything resembling anything like what Julius Randle gave us in the regular season. He gave us one game that looked good. But if he did that more consistently, the Knicks still beat Miami, and we're talking about, the Knicks making it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Just didn't happen.
Those woulda, coulda, shouldas could go in so many directions. Yeah. But do expect that Tibbs this year, excuse me, he's going to slow down the pace, as he always does. You're not going to have a lot of possessions. They're going to focus on rim protection and rebounding. You're going to be at the bottom of the league of assists. You're going to be at the bottom of the league to assist the field goals made. What you do hope is that they do improve at the three-point line, because I think it's very important that they shoot well from three, because it spaces out the court a little bit for Jalen Brunson, Randall, and RJ. So I think that's very important. And it was smart in that sense to pick up DiVincenzo. But the thing with DiVincenzo was that was an anomaly of him shooting so well from three. I think the last year he did that was like his second year in the league. So, you question those things. You hope that he can come in and stay with that flamethrower coming in, because if he could shoot 40%, and then the other thing you got to worry about too is that you only got 48 minutes on a 9-man, right? So somebody's minutes are going down. And my two likely candidates for that was Immanuel Quickley and Quentin Grimes. Because I don't see Tibbs, me knowing him very well, I do not see Tibbs taking minutes away from Josh Hart. I don't see him taking minutes away from Dante DiVincenzo. I think he's going to love Dante DiVincenzo. So I see Dante playing a steady 20, 18. So one of those guys' minutes will have to be diminished. And it just so happens that one of those two guys are your better three-point shooters. Because, Quickley has a crappy field goal percentage, well, for the exception of last year, but he has shot the three ball well 3 out of 4 years, or 2 out of 3 years, sorry. And Grimes, everything that's said about Grimes shot 38%, 39% from three last year. It just doesn't appear that way because he's so streaky. He'll go 5 games like, Grimes, where are you, bro? And then 5 games that he'll hit multiple 2 or 3 threes per game.
100%. I just want to say, I agree with you, because he threw me for a loop. When I looked at Grimes' numbers, I was shocked. Like, I didn't expect his percentage to be that high. Yeah. One, and then the free throw percentage shocked me too. Because I've just looked at Grimes. I always comment, like, it's ridiculous that a guy who can shoot this well, has good form, can't hit free throws. He was like around 60-something%, almost low 70. And then at the end of last year, you look at the numbers, he was at like 79%, almost 80. I was shocked. You just don't even notice it.
Well, he barely gets there.
Yeah.
And he's not a guy at this point in time. We don't know what he did in the offseason, so we're very interested to see. But we don't know what he's put into his game, because we would like to see some ball handle from him. We would like to see him get comfortable there and get into his kill spots and his kill zones. I think we would like to see that. We already saw it. I think to this day, I still think he's one of the best in the NBA at attacking the closeout. He attacks that closeout wonderfully. If I was teaching a player how to attack the closeout, I'll just show him couldn't grind footage all day, because he does it wonderfully. But the thing is that he puts himself in situations because of the lack of ball handle where he gets stuck. And then he picks up the ball and he's 6'4". And you see his decision-making get shoddy if he's not dumping it off or wrapping it around or dotting the corner from the swing pass or something like that. So, you got to see. But so we don't know the wrinkles. Maybe, IQ, he came in last season, right? Bigger, stronger, and had the ability to getting to the cup a lot better and finishing at higher percentages. Now, he didn't do that in the playoffs, which we'll hold him to that forever. but we're interested to see these wrinkles. And my only question is that, will Tom assess it long enough in order to see it through? Because if you study what's happened in Chicago, what happened in Minnesota, and they have an article on it, I'll bring it up all the damn time, right? Things get a little crazy in the fourth year. And it's just a pattern. I hope the pattern's wrong. I hope he disrupts the pattern and, we see a good version like we did last season, because we did see a good version of Tibbs last year. We were like, holy crap, Tibbs is distributing minutes. Tibbs is doing this. And of course, he would do some of his own stuff. But very interesting. A lot of questions.
Yeah. No, I mean, listen, I think that there's a lot of different stories to look at this year with the Knicks. I think I have said that I expect Quentin Grimes to have a bounce back year. I expect, and keep in mind, he really didn't have a bad year last year. Like, after we've talked about it, and we look at his numbers, and he actually had some really good stuff happening. It just didn't seem like it, like D was speaking about. But bounce back more of a little bit more confidence, right? In knowing that I'm an NBA player, I can do a lot of good things out there in the court. I believe in myself. I don't care, who the coach is and what different opportunities and how he wants to use me. I got a game and it translates, right? Yeah. And so sometimes that confidence helps you going into things. It would definitely have helped him if he felt that way going into the playoffs, because there's no reason why he should have played that poorly in the playoffs, especially offensively. Now, there was certain points where he started to step up defensively. He made some really good plays, and, you give him credit for that. But overall, he just didn't have a great playoff experience.
Indeed.
For the Knicks.
Indeed.
So I think he can step up and make some changes with regards to that. Obviously, we already talked about Immanuel Quickley. He can easily step up. He had a poor start to the first half of the NBA season. He got better as it went on, and then his playoff showing, we already talked about that. That wasn't anything to write home about either. No, and then he got hurt. Which just compiled them, just insult to injury, right? Julius Randle, there's no real story with Julius. Julius just has to play basketball. And I said I would be okay with him. He averaged 25 points per game last year.
Yeah.
And he took a lot of shots to get there, but he got there. I don't mind if Julius averages 23, even 22. Not too much less than that, because he's a focal point of the scoring. We need offense. If he can take a little less off the top, man, you know what I mean, and give us some more of that in other ways. I think he does enough offensively to fill up cats. A little bit more defensively. Take a little, hold on to some of that effort offensively and give us a little bit more on the defensive side. The guy, you can say what you want about Julius Randle. He's not a poor defender. He just doesn't give you the effort.
Right. It's an effort thing with him. Right.
Yeah, it's an effort thing with him.
No, he is a bad off-ball defender, though.
Right, but I think even with effort, he might improve on that. He will still not be the greatest, but you know what I mean? He could even improve on some of that if he just gave overall effort out there on the court. I think he might be in better position to play a little better defense, but that's not his forte. 100% agree with you on that.
Julian Bump said something real quick. Grimes will go 5 games with 1 or 2 touches. And he alluded to that we talked about this last year, and he's 100% right. So my question to you, Julian, or anybody that questions is that if that was happening last year, what you think going to happen this year?
So my whole thing is like, I wonder, like, and it requires a lot of the players too, like in practice, talking to your teammates. Like, look, man, you know, coach is not really seeing what I think I can do out here, and you know, let's try some things within reason, right? But like, get your teammates involved, but you got to step up too. Like, show your teammates, look, give me the ball over here, I'll knock it down. I'll do a little pump fake, I'm going to the rim, you know what I mean? But when I go to the rim, cut, so that if I don't got this, I'm gonna feed you the ball. And it shows that that's a versatile thing with a guy like Grimes, especially. You've seen when Grimes was moving in the beginning of the season last year, he was doing a quick first step, getting to the rim, and he was dumping it off, and it looked good. It kind of showed you like, oh yeah, I could tell he used to be a point guard. That quickly dissipated. That was like the first month, maybe even second month of the season. Never saw it again throughout the rest of the season. Like, and that went back to everything that we saw Quentin Grimes say, what his trainer said on NBK. Like, Tom Thibodeau put him in the corner and said, this is where I want you. Just move around and stay ready. So when we kick the ball out, you can knock. And he's like, I can do more than that. Right. And he tried to start showing us that. And then it just quickly fell apart again. And he just went back to moving around the perimeter and just being in a spot. Like, when you got guys and they can do more than what they've shown you, you got to be able to use that. But the guys got to also force the issue. And you got to tell your team, listen, believe in me, man. Give me the shot. Let me do this and just rock with me. So that way it shows the coach. Sometimes the coach is his own worst enemy. You got to, you know, change the coach's mind. But you need some help of your teammates too. So stuff like that. And, you know, there's a whole bunch of little things that I think this team needs to do. I already said Jericho needs to step up defensively and show that he can do a little bit more with what we know he can do. And Mitchell needs to continue to improve. I expect, look, this is crap now. We're going into year 6 for Mitchell Robinson. At some point, when you say you want to be, and this, I'm not even talking about what he wants to do. That's offensive. I'm talking about defensive. At some point when you say, I want to win defensive player of the year or make an all NBA defensive team, at some point, I expect you to do it. I expect, forget the the defensive player of the year. There's 3 all NBA teams. That's 15 players. I expect you to try to see if you can make your way on, you know, the 3rd team. Let's see it. You know, at some point, bro. That's all I'm saying. And then
think
lastly,
that you're going to see it this year? Do you think that Mitch has a hook shot now? He's got some, you know, reverse pivot moves in the post, up and under, a little midi. Anything? I think he's the same guy.
I think he's the same guy. That's the thing. I just don't think he there's something he's missing that he can't combat. He can't get over the hump when it comes to that. And like, how can you be a solid? We talk about Mitchell Robinson all the time. Like, he's a good defender. He affects a lot of things. It may not show up on the stat line, but you see teams are worried about it. But they're not. I mean, if that's the case, why doesn't he make an all defensive NBA team? They're not worried enough that it translates that way. So what does he have to do to take his defense to the next level? Yeah. And then you worry about, if he does do what he needs to do, can he stay healthy? Because anytime Mitch exerts too much effort, like extra amounts of effort, you know, he starts to get hurt. So I'm a little worried.
And he does have an endurance and stamina issue as well. Always has since day one.
Yeah.
So forget about a post hook and forget about a fadeaway. Or this is an issue that's plagued him since he came in the league.
Yeah,
he's funny.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what though, he could protect the hell out of the rim though. I'll give him that. And his offensive reading, but his ability to bunny hop there first before anybody, and he's marvelous at that.
Yeah. And I think it's just surprising that he can be so good reading the ball off the rim and knowing, because it's not just about just grabbing a rebound. It's also positioning, knowing where the ball is going to come off the rim and anticipating. He does a great job at that. How come he does such a good job offensively, but he can't do it defensively? Does the rim look different on defense? I don't know. It's just crazy to me.
Yeah. Well, we talked about
It
that.
could, and no, it could be also the fact that, in this league, a lot of the big, not a lot, but some of the big men are pushing him out of the paint area. So he has so much further to get back to the spot.
And don't forget, a lot of Julius Randle's taking rebounds for him too, because Julius Randle is an excellent defensive rebounder. And also too, as him being the last line of defense, defensively, you're out of rebounding position every time you got to come weak side and help on dribble penetration. Now, this happened less with Grimes, because when Grimes was inserted, there wasn't as much dribble penetration. And then when Josh Hart got there, it got even better because he could contain. So with Dante coming there, we should at least see Mitch rebound at least one more rebound a game. So what was he at, 8 this year? Let me see.
That's a good question. Yeah, because I think that's definitely important.
Oh, dude. So he was at 9.4 last year. So for all those saying he can't rebound, I mean, now granted, half of them came from offensive rebounds.
Right.
And he averaged 5 defensive rebounds a game. Now, if you look at Julius Randle, let's see. Julius averaged 8 defensive rebounds per game. So if he can uptick that to about 6 defensive rebounds per game, I think that'd be good money for him. He'll be averaging 10 rebounds a game at that rate.
And then maybe the other thing is, like, a lot of guys in the chat are saying that he's because he's always doing help defense and all this stuff, and therefore he's out of position.
Yeah.
That's true too. And then, the other thing is, with the current defensive personnel that the Knicks have, maybe Mitch is always going to be this way under Tom Thibodeau, because of how Tom Thibodeau's defense is set up, that he has to be in these positions to help guys because guys are getting beat. So he's never really going to be able to be a really adequate defensive rebounder unless we make some changes. Like, if we had, I'm just throwing this out there, if, say, Mikal Bridges was here, then I think, that's one less person that Mitchell has to help. And also, Mikal Bridges will be helping other perimeter guys with the way he's playing defense. And Mitch can kind of sit back and stay there to be in position to get some more rebounds. But we don't have that right now. So,
yeah. We'll see. I think I could see him averaging an extra defensive rebound this year, which will put him at 10. And
yeah, DiVincenzo might help with that.
I bet. Yeah. And especially Quickley too, because Quickley is a decent defender. He's not great as people try to put him out to be, but I think he's a decent defender, and I think that could help as well. There are definitely better perimeter defenders this year, with just DiVincenzo coming, so that helps. That helps a lot.
We'll see what goes from there. And I guess my biggest thing that I'm waiting for and watching, and I'm just attesting to, I'm saying it, I've said it, I just believe it's going to happen, is that RJ Barrett is going to have the best year of his young Knick career this year.
That's what you're saying?
Yeah. I just feel that it's going to happen, and really, I've left myself a nice little margin of error. He doesn't have to do much to do that. Like, if I so.
That's
percentage points. You know what I mean?
Oh, man. Listen, that. He needs to have an all-star fringe season. 3rd pick, 5th year, making 23 this year. People say that's not a lot. I'm just saying, when you have other guys, as you see, with just all the other guys that we have, we're in the first tier of the luxury tax. So for all that, that's not a lot. Oh, that's not a lot. Oh, that's not a lot. It accumulates. And then if you do retain Immanuel Quickley, now you're looking at another 100 million there. So now you're looking at another 17, 18, 19, 20 mil now. So it gets expensive. And that's why what teams do is that they try to get these top tier guys to give them the top tier money. And then they can balance out through the rest of the roster, because they'll know there'll be role guys because they already have the stars implemented already.
Yeah. That's true.
Where our roster is a little funny. You know, Julius Randle, 2-time All-Star, done nothing in the playoffs, but still makes $25 million. You have a Jalen Brunson that he should be third All NBA this year, and he's only going to be making, I think, because he's declining, I think 26 this year. So, you know, it's kind of funny how they're doing the money. It's traditionally not done like that. You could look at every championship team. It's not the way it's been done. So that's that. But it adds up. And then now you have Hart. He's 12 this year, right? He's 12 and a half, right? Now you got him coming in next year at 17.
I think
so put the extra $5 million.
Yeah.
And most likely they're going to have to retain Hartenstein because he's expiring this year, but they might have to retain him because I'm sorry to tell you guys, good, resourceful backup centers do not grow on trees. Sorry to tell you. That's why there's only 450 guys in the NBA. So, you know, you might want to retain that. So then before you know it, you might be coming into the next season luxury tax. Because RJ's going up. And Jalen's only going a couple down. So that's why this year is very important. I don't think the Knicks could afford to go and kind of botch the season. That they would have to play very well this year in order to continue the momentum and stuff like that that's going on. So if some people, because some people earlier were saying it, that if for example, the Knicks get bounced in the first round, that's a failure.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, you'll have to go ahead and kind of reconfigure, especially if you stick with Tibbs and he finishes out his contract. You're going to have to reconfigure that roster if this team gets bounced in the first round, because these are the type of expectations that come into play when you put yourself in positions in which they were last year. So we're going to see if it's real this year. Because if they do get bounced out in the first day, or they're, you know, struggling to go ahead and get out of a play-in or something of that nature, you're going to have to reevaluate how the roster looks. Just nerd basketball talk. What can you do?
That's fair, man. It's fair. This is all types of stuff, and then obviously, you know, it goes without saying, Jalen Brunson has to continue to give us similar numbers to the type of play we saw this past year, which was incredible. There was certain times, I mean, he had 1 month of the season, he was averaging 28.7 points.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know what I mean? Like, and we still need that type of production on this team, especially because we're good scorers, but we not good shooters. So.
And hopefully that's a proof, because them being able to shoot for the 3-point line will really space out things, give Jalen a lot more room to operate, give RJ a lot more room to operate. It'll be great.
Shout out to Jersey Shore 74. Thank you for being here, brother. He said, salute to the chat, Ron D. Dig this. The Knicks are developing their young core. Where the hell was Mitch's development? Yeah.
These were arguments we were having 2 seasons ago, because we were talking about Obi and stuff like that.
Nothing's changed.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So, although, you know, we'll see. Nev, for example, says for the first time he approved his off-season workouts that Mitch. Yeah, that Mitch was working on. And from what I heard, he was working on low post scoring and free throw shooting.
Fantastic. That's fantastic.
Can't argue with that. The only thing I do like about it is that I didn't see it.
to evaluate it and be like, I don't know, man.
Yeah. So I don't know what you're doing. Hey, maybe it's good. Because we see Mitch's off-season workouts every year, the shooting threes, the dribbling between the legs, the crossovers and fading away. I'm like, okay, whatever, Mitch. You know, I'm never gonna see it in the game. So okay, thanks. But yeah, so hopefully it translates. Hopefully that's that's what actually happens, and he shows us something. Alex Isaac, thank you for being here. Salute to you, my brother. He says, I have no idea what this rebounding argument is about. Dante is going to give Mitch an extra rebound. Mitch not getting enough defensive rebounds. What is that, man? Look at the team construction. Well, and I'll let D elaborate. I don't know exactly what you mean. We read the numbers. Mitch is not a good defensive rebounder. Dante DiVincenzo is a really good all-around player who, by him being out there on the court and playing better defense than, say, Obi, for example, because really when you look at it, it's like a one-to-one, but even though they play different positions, we lost Obi. We brought in Dante. Dante is more of a solid defender than Obi was. Right. So you would think that would equate to him locking up certain guys on the court, so Mitch doesn't have to help as much in that regard, so he can stay home. And if he can stay home more, he'll be in position to get
correct. And he can box out a rebound. Right.
Yeah. Yes. So I don't see how that doesn't make sense. But D, did you want to say anything?
Well, first of all, it wasn't an argument. It was a discussion because there was no two opposing views on it, which would not make it an argument. That's number one. And yeah, just like Ron just eloquently put it, if you have better perimeter defenders that can contain the basketball, that means that Mitch won't be out of position when boxing out his matchup in order to grab the defensive rebound. And no, Mitch is not getting enough defensive rebounds. All you have to do is go on Basketball Reference, right, and look at the defensive rebounding totals. And then look at Julius Randle's. Easy stuff.
Yeah. Shout out to King Ribby. Appreciate you, my guy. Thank you for being here. He said McGriddle is going to be here trading deadlines.
I think they're both either.
Yeah. Shoot. You know what's a funny thing? Kind of like going out on a limb, but I'm going to go out on a limb anyway and say it. Team USA and FIBA. If you put Mitch on that team, I think Team USA is a different team. I think he creates more second chance opportunities for that team. They weren't the greatest shooting team either, right? You put Mitch on that team, he deals with some of those bigs that we were having a problem with. He's a better rebounder than any of the centers they got over there, outside of the. Why am I still forgetting this guy's name from Utah? The young guy,
Walker Kessler.
Walker Kessler's a good rebounder and a good defender, and a decent defender, but he blocks a lot of shots. He's really good at timing wise. But if you put Mitch in that mix, I think Team USA might be in the mix for a medal, and maybe even I don't want to guarantee a medal, but I think they could definitely be in a mix for a silver or a bronze. I don't know about gold, but I think he changes what they have going on over there, giving them second chance opportunities, playing decent defense over there. Yeah, I think he would have made it. And I'm surprised that he wasn't even considered to be on the team. Or maybe he was. Maybe he turned it down. Who knows?
Right.
But
yeah. No, I'm with you. And as the chat so eloquently put it, they beat me to the punch. I mean, they got destroyed on the boards, bro. And Jared Jackson Jr. was drafted as a power forward. And he played power forward for 3 out of his 4 years. There's a reason. So, but you see guys that, like, for example, I thought Evan Mobley would have been wonderful for them. If they were looking for that small ball type of 5 guy, because I just think he's better around the interior as far as rotations and stuff like that. But I just think he got babied, and that's that. But yeah, I'm with you though. I think Mitch would have been a nice addition there. He would have gave him some much needed rim protection and stuff, and the offensive rebounding. He would have out hustled those guys, bro.
Easy.
Gave him a lot of opportunities.
He might have had a field day out there.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jimmy Henry. Thank you for being here in the chat. David Smith, appreciate you. Hope you're doing well, my brother. Jimmy Henry said, keeper Hart or Hartenstein?
If I had to choose, Hart.
Yeah, I agree with you too. I just think Hart. I don't want to say that sounds. Hart has heart. He gives us something we're missing. Like, remember, we've already talked about, like, we really need a dog type player out there. And Brunson has the dog mentality, but he's not the dog defender. Hart gives us some of that. Hart is not, I don't want to give the guy too much kudos and then not talk about the real. He's a good defender. He's not a great defender. He can still get beat, but he's got that dog mentality. He knows how to make up for certain things in spots, and his hustle and his overall effort is also something you can't quantify. It's like the Knicks need that guy. He's the type of guy that gets down on the floor and gets dirty. You know what I mean? Gets in the mud, grabs the loose balls.
Yeah.
You need that.
If you don't mind, Ron, I'm going to pull up a Keith Turner comment.
Yeah, sure.
David Smith, once again, I appreciate that compliment, David. Thank you very much for that. Keith Turner said, "Dear Ron, isn't anybody going to talk about the Austin Rivers comments he made on Tibbs in a podcast? Do we know about that?"
Oh, shoot. Damn it, Keith. You know what? It's funny because the other day I saw Austin Rivers' picture and I saw something with the Knicks and I didn't read what it was about. I don't know what he said. Do you know what he said, D?
No, I would like Keith to elaborate.
Yeah, because I saw something. I didn't pay attention to it.
By the way, Iguodala, Evan Turner, which I thought he was weak, and JJ Redick had a magnificent show a couple of days ago. And they would talk about different NBA systems. They were even going over floppy sets and going over how they would play it. It was wonderful for the basketball junkies. Please peep that out when you can. But Keith, if you could elaborate on this, that'll be fantastic. I want to know.
Yeah, I'm curious now. I didn't know that it was something. So yeah. So I guess he was on the Bill Simmons podcast.
Okay.
Okay,
that might be a video. Well, if anybody knows Knicks 100 game, if anybody knows, just share the information, what he said.
Oh,
you read the article?
Oh, listen to this article. How long is it? Let me see. Oh, wait. Okay, hold on. Maybe we can hear. Let's see.
Let's do it.
Let's see what we can do here, folks. Okay, let's check this out.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you, man. Because it's not for lack. We just didn't know it. So, all right, let's check it out. Okay, let me see. This is sharing. All right, so this is it.
Let me move his comment. Okay.
Yeah. And this is courtesy of SB Nation, posting and toasting. Right?
Okay.
All right. So, yeah. All right. So this is what it was.
3 minutes.
Austin with Knicks on Bill Simmons podcast.
Can you guys hear? Can you hear that?
Toasting.
What makes Contour Next diabetes test?
Imagine having an ad on this.
Are you kidding me?
Jeez,
boy. Let's get through this. Jeez, come on, man. Can't knock the hustle, I guess. All right. Well, wish I had hold music, like a little Jeopardy thing. Okay, so it looks like it's finishing up, and we'll be able to.
We could beatbox and freestyle real quick.
Right. Okay.
Austin Rivers talks time.
Oh
with
no!
Knicks on Bill Simmons podcast.
I hit the wrong button. I hope I don't hear the ad again. I'm gonna be pissed off.
Well, we get
on an episode of the Bill Simmons podcast airing today, Austin Rivers discussed, among other things, his time in the NBA and his pursuit of another contract. While there, he discussed his brief tenure with the New York Knicks. In November 2020, the Houston Rockets traded Rivers and 3 other players to the New York Knicks for Isif Sanin and a player exception. During the 2020-21 season, Austin Rivers, 64-inch, 200 pounds, averaged 21 minutes, 7.3 points, and 2 assists in 21 games for the Knicks. The team's record when he played was a mediocre 10-11, however, and another player's shadow loomed large. It messed with me for a little bit, because I was having some really good success there early on, and it just felt like the whole time I was there they were kind of waiting for me to either not play well or something to happen so they could bring in Derrick Rose, he told Simmons. Indeed, Rivers provided some exciting moments early on. See the January 2021 game when he shot 5-4-7 from downtown and dropped 21 points on the Jazz at Madison Square Garden, and then did it again later that month in Utah, 5-4-7 beyond the arc, 25 points. I understand that was Thibs guy, I totally understand that. Rose won an MVP under him, said Rivers on the podcast. But I was brought there, and from my understanding, he wanted Derek from the beginning, and Leon Rose kind of went in my direction. Rivers was drafted by the New Orleans Hornets with the 10th pick in the 2012 NBA draft. The 31-year-old guard has played for 7 teams over his 11-year career and suited up for the Minnesota Timberwolves last season. He told Simmons, "When I came to New York, it just didn't feel like I was ever really. I don't know. It just felt like the cards were stacked against me on that one. And as soon as an opportunity came where we lost a couple, or if I didn't play a couple of good games, it was just an immediate conversation, like, hey, we're bringing in Derek." He's not lying about the Thibs and Rose affection connection. In February 2021, the Knicks jumped at the chance to trade Dennis Smith and a 2021 second-round draft pick to the Pistons in exchange for the league's youngest MVP. Austin's father Doc was a point guard on the Knicks for 3 seasons in the 90s. The junior Rivers would not last so long. Once Derek was rostered, Austin was on his way out. 4 months after arriving in Manhattan, Rivers was shipped to the Oklahoma City Thunder via a 3-team trade. As part of the deal, which included the Philadelphia 76ers, the Knicks wound up with Terrence Ferguson, Vincent Poirier, Amir Prelzic, a 2021 second-round draft pick that became Jericho Sims, and a 2024 second-round draft pick. Hat tip basketball-reference.com. The Thunder promptly waived Rivers. Before you know it, I was in Denver. It is worth noting that Rivers broke double digits for points in only 6 games, and excluding those contests, he averaged only 3.5 points. He also dealt with ankle and Achilles issues while in New York that caused him to miss games. Meanwhile, Derrick Rose finished the season strong after being traded to the Knicks. He averaged 15 points and 4 assists over those last 35 games, proved to be a wise mentor to his teammates, and helped lead New York to the playoffs. I have yet to meet a Knicks fan who would pick Rivers over Rose.
Thank you, Compatron. Jeez.
I mean, you know what I mean? First off, I cannot stand the way he read that. Oh, I hate when people read stuff and it kind of sounds weird and disjointed. I'm like, okay, all right, whatever. But you got the gist of it. Okay. I mean, listen, I don't think he said anything too crazy. Yeah, maybe he came from a standpoint. Like, I think Austin Rivers is, you know, if I, you know, D, you can elaborate on your thoughts about it. But from what I've known of Austin Rivers in the NBA, he's always been very confident. You know, he's got a little chip on his shoulder. He uses that. His confidence might be better than his game, but he's not wrong in the fact that, like, there was a love affair between Tom Thibodeau and Derrick Rose and wanting him on this team, and you know, and Austin. Look, Austin had a couple moments where he played pretty well, but overall, for what we thought he was going to be, he never looked quite comfortable here either. So if he's saying he didn't feel quite comfortable because of how he felt he was treated here, or how, you know, the organization was using him, that's one thing. But it showed to the fan, and so the fan and us, at least from my side of it, I wasn't really stressing it when they let Austin Rivers go and brought in Derrick Rose, because I just didn't see enough from Austin Rivers.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, and especially what Rose did when he came. If it wasn't for Rose, you don't have that Cinderella season like that. And we know Randall was playing out of his mind and stuff like that, but Rose really brought a balance to that team that was not there. I thought the Cam Reddish, Evan Fournier and stuff, I thought that was way more compelling than what Rivers had to say, especially he was only there on a 1-year contract.
Thanks, Sherwin. I know it's good for you reading it. I don't like it. No, I get it. I just don't like it.
If people really talk like that, I would be terrified for my existence.
Yeah.
Anywho.
So, I mean, there you go. We addressed it, Keith.
Thanks, Keith.
Done.
Anywho.
Yeah, but you know, it is what it is. It kind of I just feel bad a little bit because of the fact that, like, looked like Austin Rivers really wanted to be a Knick. Like, he was talking big hoopla. He was out there saying, bigging up the franchise, talking about how we're going to do some special things and stuff. And I can't remember exactly what he said, but he was making it seem like, stay tuned, Knicks fans, there's going to be some things. So he was sipping the Kool-Aid. He was all in. And so, yeah, I felt a little bad about that. But, it also translates like, basketball is first, and we expect to see what you can bring to the table. And he was very inconsistent. When he got hot, it was like a flamethrower. It was incredible to watch when he was on fire. But how often was he on fire?
Well, I do remember a game where he scored like 20 in the first half, and Tibbs never put him back in.
Which that's not his fault, but you know how Tibbs is, man.
Oh, man. Hey, Ron,
not the first time we've seen that. Yeah. No, definitely, brother. Thank you for being here, D, and doing this. Really good stuff. You want to say your final words?
Yeah, definitely. And then you lead the rest of the promised land. Guys, thank you for coming through. Thank you for listening to us and just giving us the opportunity. Just a couple of different scenarios, different thoughts, especially what we could do with Evan Fournier. I know you guys, and I know most of you guys would love to see a scenario of him being shipped in a package to match salaries with somebody that's going to be impactful here. And that's a good hope, and that's best case scenario. I just don't see that happening. But I would explore the buyout and waiver options and be able to plug in some of these holes that we have, so then we can have the best season that we can possible. But yeah, we appreciate that. Appreciate the comments. Appreciate, the chat as always. Shout out to the whole family that was here today. Appreciate you guys as well. Ron, thank you, because I did not have time to do this throughout the week, and you gave me the opportunity to do it. So I greatly appreciate that. Thank you once again.
No doubt. Always. Yeah. Appreciate you.
So this week, I am going to do, because we got the season coming, so we're going to have the interviews. I think the interviews are this week, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe next week. I think it might be this week. Because next week, the third doesn't fall to a Monday, and they usually don't hold those press conferences on weekends. So that's why I'm thinking it might be this week. So we'll definitely have a show like that. We definitely want to talk. We definitely want to go over what guys are talking about, and we want to hold them accountable to things that they're saying.
Oh, it's the second.
What, the
opening day of training camp?
Oh, it's the second.
Yeah, second is the Monday.
Right. So it's got to be this week. So anyway, okay. So we'll wait for that. Also, and shout out, and also today's discussion. Shout out to Sincere the Genius, and unfortunately he wasn't here today. This was his idea. And bringing out what players can help in Tibbs' system. And that's why I brought up certain players that I think that Tibbs would like, and also wanted to take some swings on some guys that have some potential that maybe hasn't been utilized and stuff like that. So shout out to Sincere for the topic. AJ brought up a great topic, and we're going to talk about it this week. We're going to talk about the Eastern Conference this week. And we're going to talk about rosters that have developed, rosters that have gotten better, how the young team's looking, and how do the Knicks fare into all this. So we're definitely going to have a conversation about that as well. So that's good for you basketball junkies that concentrate on all the teams and stuff like that. We're going to have a nice discussion with that and talk about, how guys like, for example, with Brooklyn signing Matteo and Cam, it's very interesting what they got going there. I don't see them being a lottery team. I do see them competing. So it'll be very interesting like that, for example. Charlotte getting Miles Bridges back for a year, and then you add in Brandon Miller with that and stuff like that. Very interested to see where they go, especially if LaMelo is healthy. So a lot of teams to talk about. And then, you got Atlanta with Quinn Snyder. This is their first full year together where he's able to implement the system and stuff. They brought in some guys. They got Sadiq Bey there now from last trading deadline. Very interested to see what they do. And I think Jalen Johnson might actually start for power forward for them this year. So that'd be very interesting. And he's kind of a more dynamic John Collins. So that's kind of interesting. He hasn't shown it yet, but it is there nonetheless. So there's many teams that we could talk about, especially Orlando Magic and all that. So make sure you guys tune in for that. I'll let you guys know about that. But I got to go now, Ron. Sorry, I got people waiting for me. But thank you once again, sir. Shout out to the whole family. Shout out to the SKF family as well. Make sure you guys tune into Raw Stuff. Make sure everybody's liking the video. It's free, and it helps us. And if it helps us, it helps everybody. So guys, go ahead, get those likes up. Don't hesitate on that. It is free at the end of the day. Once again, guys, thank you for everything. Thank you again, Ron. Once again, everybody have a fantastic day.
Appreciate you, dude. Take care, man.
Thank you. Take care.